I'm Sarah.
I'm Jake.
And we invite you to join us on the Gotham Knights Watch podcast for a weekly recap and discussion of the CW show Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights follows Bruce Wayne's adopted son and his unlikely friends who are accused of killing the Caped Crusader.
The world's greatest detective may be gone, but we will dig up any clues that we can along the way.
Help us solve this mystery and tune in to the Gotham Knights Watch podcast.
In 1991, it was clearly time for a sequel to The Naked Gun. This sequel would be called The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, with guest appearances by Zsa Zsa Gabor, Mel Torme, and the Chicago Bears. This film would supplant Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves from the top of the box office, grossing $86.9 million in the United States and Canada, and internationally grossing $105 million for a worldwide total of $192 million, against a reported budget of $23 million. This is The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. This is the smell of License to Watch.
That was just another pointless sequel that didn't have to be made.
This movie could also be retitled The Naked Gun Light. It's like the same movie as the first one, but with less jokes, right? Or less jokes that land. I feel like the JPMs of the first movie were a lot higher than this. The ratio here. You know, do you guys agree?
I don't know that it's a significant difference in JPMs, but I do think there was a certain kind of raunchiness and freewheelingness that the first one had, that this one is a little more practiced, because I think they're trying to do, something, they're trying to redo something they already did. Hold that mic real close to your face as you eat your pizza, Colin.
Oh, Colin,
make sure you get your mic right up near your mouth. Definitely don't put the mic down to eat. I think the audience needs to hear this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Press play.
There we go. Paramount Pictures presents.
This is a Paramount picture, a Zucker, Abrams, Zucker, or Zaz, if you will, production.
I think right now we're seeing the opening credits. It's Un Film de David Zucker, which is hilarious. It's showing a bunch of aerial footage of Washington, D.C., where this movie takes place, and where apparently Police Squad has temporarily relocated all their officers in their office. Don't really understand that, since every other iteration of Police Squad has been a Los Angeles Police Department, and without explanation,
there's a partial explanation.
They are all in D.C.
They partially explain why Frank is there.
Right.
Yeah, they're rewarding him.
Once you know where Frank is, you accept that he's brought Police Squad.
He's brought Police Squad and their office building.
Yes.
Is the whole movie is in D.C. or just the beginning?
The entire movie is in D.C.
Oh, wow.
And they just never address why everyone else is in D.C. with him.
It's because Bush has to be in the whole thing.
Yeah,
he's really only in this first scene and the very end.
Well, when you find a mediocre Bush impersonator, you got to run with it.
The Bush impersonator is not as bad. I just feel like last movie, OJ taking all the punches is funnier than Barbara Bush getting the shit beat out of her all movie.
Yeah. I don't know. It is very funny, especially his introduction, which is coming up in 3, 2, 1. I love it. Yeah. I love it. That's the other.
I love it.
Boom, right here.
Yeah, she takes a lot of abuse in this. OJ also does, but yeah.
I love that nobody. The funny thing to me is nobody reacting to something that you definitely would react to in real life.
Yeah,
like when he moves the chair and she falls down, like he would totally turn around and be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry."
It's only the Secret Service agents that react to her getting abused, and she seems kind of oblivious to it. The Barbara Bush lookalike is better than
Yes,
George Bush.
I was gonna say that. Are you guys going to introduce me, or I just
No.
pop in?
In fact, shut up, you. What are you doing? Butting into our podcast.
That's right, everybody. Arby's back, hot off his Rocky V stint, and he's here once again.
We got the meats.
We got the meats. What's up, Arby? How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking. What's a JPM?
Joke per minute.
Oh, I like it.
The first movie I believe is more rapid fire than this.
I almost feel like there's this whole movie was made as a commentary on the Bush administration and how Dukakis lost. It seems like the writer was really not happy about that because his picture is in the
the bar of misery, the blue note. Yeah.
And I love that scene. The girl singing is great.
Yeah.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dukakis was the one who famously made a commercial where he was driving a tank and he just looked like too big of a wussy in a tank, and that's
I don't think it was a commercial. I think it was some press appearance where he was in a tank with this, and he had like the helmets that they wear in the tanks, which are like oversized helmets because they have all this equipment in them, and it made him look like such a little weenie in this thing, and people were like, we can't elect this guy. It really was like big. It was a big turning point. I remember.
I've seen the video before, but I've always thought it was funny that like that was the turning point.
I wonder if it
wasn't. Like,
I wonder if it was
in
overstated, like that wasn't the real reason, but then everyone after the fact was like, yeah, he took a big hit when he did that tank thing.
Who was the guy who was running for president and he did that like yeehaw or whatever and like
John Dean?
Dean,
No.
Howard
yeah,
Dean.
Howard Dean.
Howard
Yep.
Dean, sorry.
Howard Dean did the yeah.
Yeah,
That was the end of him.
reason why he didn't get
It
elected.
says a lot about our politics.
Well,
what is
What about
important?
Jeb Bush? Please clap. Did you see that one?
You mean Jeb?
Yeah, Jeb! Exclamation point.
That was a sad moment.
I don't know that one. What is that?
So Jeb Bush is like at a big,
It's a
like
town
fundraiser
hall.
or something. A town hall, right?
He said something
And
no
he
one
just
clapped.
says something, and like it's just the room is dead silent, and he just goes, "Please clap."
He could have played it
so
as
funny.
if like the silence is heavy of because what he said is so good.
Yeah.
But he played the cards all wrong.
And even after he says "please clap," like the clapping is like pretty mediocre.
It's like
Would
it's
you-
like sympathetic clapping. It's like,
Would you
oh.
agree that style of like politicians losing out because of some dumb thing, like that those days are over?
no,
Now
It's more prevalent.
in a post-Trump world
it's more prevalent.
where Trump
Now
said
they lose
grab them
and
by
win
the
for
pussy.
dumb things.
What?
Now they lose and win for dumb things.
Yeah,
There's no
I mean,
amount
like
of-
Let me just remind you guys, Herschel Walker got more than 1 million votes, and it's not.
That's
it
what I
wasn't.
mean.
He says
It
like the
wasn't.
dumbest things.
that's what I mean. In
Oh.
like 10 years ago, if Herschel Walker said something dumb, like people
Oh,
would be
yeah,
like,
I
he's
see.
done. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind
I
of
thought you meant, will that affect you? And I was saying, no, it doesn't.
Kind of like the bar's been lowered to the extent that there is nothing dumb enough to disqualify somebody if people were already interested in voting for them.
Or do you think it's only like a reserved for the Democrats now? Like Democrats can still fuck up and say something stupid and they'll be, blacklisted out of politics.
Chastised.
But the Republicans can say whatever.
I don't know what's that like the dog face pony soldier or whatever. That's pretty fucking dumb.
I don't understand.
Do you guys
That's
remember?
a Joe Biden thing.
Oh.
It's like he says like really old people colloquialisms.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like he's our grandpa.
Yeah, just slightly.
That's
slightly
grandpa.
senile.
He's yeah.
Yabbering about the Civil War or something again. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
You guys covered this in the first episode of this trilogy.
The
The shot
opening.
of the
Oh, the
police
siren thing.
light. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a pretty fun one.
Yeah.
We get another obligatory scantily clad women in this one.
We do, but we also come out of a vagina.
Yeah, that's the best one.
That was a good one.
And the
then we get
doctor is scared.
And then we get the Zsa Zsa Gabor cameo, which can you imagine what the world was like when you could have like something occur in popular culture and then make a movie that references it that comes out like maybe almost a year later and it's still considered somewhat,
Tasteful.
well, relevant.
Or she agreed to do it, maybe?
Like now,
Oh.
like now, 2 weeks after that Zsa Zsa Gabor slapping the cop, which is what they're referencing here, like 2 weeks later, if Seth Meyers is making a joke about that on Late Night,
It's
people
too
will be
late.
like, man, we're like digging up news from
2 weeks ago.
from 14 days ago, ancient history.
Well, how long was it after the actual thing?
Well, think
happened?
about how
Like
long
a
it takes
year.
to get a movie into production. It
At
must have been
least a
year or two.
months. Yeah, half
Yeah.
a year at least, I would say.
They're pretty good because they do a Ghost
Yeah.
reference, and Ghost came out
Yeah.
what, like maybe less
90
than a year?
maybe?
Yeah, but one of the Zucker brothers directed Ghosts, so he
Ah.
clearly he might have been referencing his own movie.
Really?
Not the guy who directed this. Yeah. So whoever the other, not David Zucker, the other Zucker brother directed. He directed like the more straightforward movies and produced these.
Wow, that's so interesting. I don't think I ever
Did
knew
they
that.
take her to jail for slapping the police officer?
I can't remember.
And also, I don't know that story. I never
Yeah, I
heard
don't
that
know
before.
about
that.
I
Oh, was
didn't
that-
realize that was a
She
reference.
got
Oh,
pulled
yeah, it
over
was-
by a cop in Beverly Hills and
was
she
a-
slapped him. And I think she must have gotten arrested because it became like a huge
There was a
news
court
story.
date, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a traffic stop, and she was,
Was she drunk?
that I don't remember, but
I don't think so. I
she
think she
thought
just didn't like
she's
the-
like a queen.
Yeah, she
How
thought-
Is that what
dare
it
you
is?
pull me
She
over?
thought the cop shouldn't be bugging her, and she was like, "Don't you know who I am?" And then he asked her to get out of the car, and she slapped him or something.
I love classic "Don't you know who I am" stories.
Oh, yes.
I remember Nick at Night used to do Green Acres.
Yeah.
And they used to run an ad that, like, when around the time this happened, they'd do Green Acres at night, and they would say, like, public service announcement: Green Acres stars Eva Gabor, not Zaza. Eva will not harm you.
But
Oh, I
Green
didn't
Acres
know
does.
that.
No, it's her sister.
There's no Gabor sisters. There's only one Gabor.
Yes,
Is that true?
They were actually known
Eva
as the
Gabor,
Gabor
yeah.
sisters at one point. I'm glad you
I
phrased
thought there
it
was
like
only
that.
Zaza.
Are they like one of the initial type of socialite Kardashians?
They're from the
Maybe.
same.
I
Yeah.
feel like they
cloth.
were except they were famous for doing nothing. Kind of the Gabors were famous for being
In stuff.
actresses and models.
Oh, okay.
Even if they weren't like
I thought they were just gold diggers.
no, they were like
Did they end up on like Hollywood Squares?
Yeah,
Or are they
they,
one of
they
those?
did
Yeah.
shit like that, but I think they started off as like actresses and models and stuff. Not terribly. I mean, not like obviously not. They're like TV level, Green Acres level actors, but
Yeah.
Are you speaking ill of Green Acres?
no.
One of the finest
But,
television programs.
I like that we get a License to Watch podcast return of one Richard Griffith.
You know, when I
his
saw
name?
this guy pop up on screen, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and when I saw
You're
this
like,
guy,
Durnsley.
it slapped me in the face. I was like, "Oh my god, yes, it's Mr. Dursley."
Mr. Durnsley.
But also, like the whole time watching Harry Potter, I'm looking at Mr. Dursley and I'm like, I fucking know this guy from something.
and it really is this because he wasn't in a lot of other American stuff.
It's 100% this.
Yeah, like he pops up in random other things, but like these are the two movies that we would know him from.
I saw this movie in a drive-in movie theater with my family when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yep,
Did you get any action?
I sure did.
Is the trilogy the height of Priscilla Presley's career
I don't
as
know
an
anything
No,
actress?
I
else
think
that
maybe.
she's
I
in.
think maybe. Oh, as an actress, I was gonna say. I think marrying Elvis was probably
No,
Priscilla
no.
Presley's
Primarily
career.
as an actress, because I can't remember seeing her in anything else. I'm sure I've seen her, but
I have to say, she's excellent in these movies.
not only
her
that,
timing
she's
and like
very attractive.
she's very attractive.
She's in
and
her
she's
mid
good.
40s in this one.
Yeah,
She's a good actress. Like
she
she doesn't
plays-
come across as like a bad actress.
she
to me.
plays kind of like
You know who
semi-oblivious
does.
really
The timing
well
is
and-
so good.
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
kind of surprised that they didn't pick her up to put her in something else.
Well, you know, but there's this thing about her that's a little overacting and a little, which is the style that works for this, but it doesn't convince me that she would be good in like a serious role. I think she can do this kind of like spoof movie.
Or a sitcom,
Like
like
maybe
playing
she
someone's
could've.
mom.
Yeah.
Maybe she could have done that. I'm just saying it's possible that she isn't a good actress, but she's a good bad actress in this kind of role.
I mean,
you know?
it's like, how do you even think of her to do this kind of movie? And then
Yeah, how did that come about?
In
Posing with the
1990,
corpse.
she was in a film called The Adventures of Ford Fairlane.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I don't
Oh.
remember her in that. That's an Andrew Dice Clay vehicle.
and it's directed by
Oh, wow, Andrew
our
Dice
boy who did Cliffhanger, Rennie Harlan, right?
Oh wow.
Oh, really?
Is it
I think so.
Let me double check that. Let me fact check you on that.
live fact check?
So why would they pick O.J. Simpson?
Rennie Harlan is correct.
Is this the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a la Airplane?
Yeah,
to-
he is. He was America's most beloved and white America's most beloved athlete entertainer.
He was though, like he did that Hertz commercial,
commercials
and they
were
were
a
like,
huge
"Oh
hit.
man, this guy."
We'll get to it in the third movie,
Nail it
but I
in on talk
believe
shows.
the third movie came out. It was like in theaters when the murder happened.
wow.
I'm pretty sure it's something like that, or
No,
it came out
I
like a
think
week
you're right. It
before.
might have even come after.
It might have come out after. Yeah, there's definitely some piece of trivia there.
So-
I love this Quasimodo guy. What the
Yeah, she's in really bad shape. No, not that bad, Frank.
Good God. Oh, this is a great.
The sketch artist joke is better. He's like,
sketch artist is great.
I love his
love-
monologue here. Sorry.
I also love Kennedy's reaction to the last one that they don't show us though.
Yeah. He just like honestly
He closes the book
honestly,
after.
George Kennedy's reaction to so many things in this is great. His when later on when they're at the Blue Note bar and Frank is telling him
yes.
I'm out there, having meaningless sex with 20-year-olds who just want a good time, and you're home with your wife, and he's just like
with the same woman every night.
Yeah, the cutbacks to George Kennedy in that scene are absolutely, even before he starts frothing at the mouth, he's totally selling it with his expression.
She had breasts that said, "Hey, look at me."
after watching the Police Squad TV show, like George Kennedy is so much better, I think,
Yeah.
than the guy from the show.
He seems like he is. Yeah.
No, he's perfect for that role. For this role.
Yeah.
What about Leslie's acting? I almost feel like he could be a debonair leading man, but we're so accustomed to his goofiness. I'm sure he's been in dramas, right?
I mean, that was what his whole career up until Airplane was super serious, not always leading man, but a lot of times supporting man. But it was always in serious roles in like disaster movies and sci-fi movies and whatever, dramas. And he was always this deadpan, kind of straight-faced leading man. And then he did Airplane, where he played it totally straight. And then he started doing these movies. And then it was just like, well, he's got such great comic timing.
It's like
such
this
a
is
funny
all
guy.
he shall do for the rest of his career now.
And apparently his favorite thing on set was just to walk around with a fart machine that just made fart sounds.
I was about to tell you that every time he would go on a talk show to promote these movies,
Making fart
he,
sounds.
he had a fart bag.
to the point of annoyance. Like
It
you could tell
is.
that people were like, "Okay."
Today I was thinking, did someone tell him you have to take this because you don't you know what I mean? Such a lowbrow.
From what I understand,
it's
it's
always-
like the thing that he is known for. Like people who have worked with him, that's like, oh yeah.
It's always cited as proof of his great sense of humor, and I'm always like,
Is it?
That's exactly where I am, especially knowing he's 65 years old in this movie.
Yeah, we're talking about like a guy mid-60s going into oh my god.
and he basically says to the chief, he's like, when he sees the sketch artist is just drawing dirty pictures of Priscilla
That
Presley.
he wants another-
He's like,
yeah.
get the sketch artist, the one who isn't married, lives with those three guys. And this guy's got like gladiator fantasy.
That's
women.
hint that the other
Yeah, the other guy's probably gay, yeah.
homosexual.
Honestly, one of the things that I think is kind of refreshing about, not that there aren't jokes that don't age well in this, but there's not a lot of judgment in a lot of things. Like they'll make references to gay characters or whatever. It's like really progressive environmentally, this movie in particular.
It's true.
But it's like they'll make references to people with different lifestyles, but it's never really like in a judgmental way. It's pretty, for the time, I think, pretty open-minded.
I agree.
I once heard in an interview or somewhere that The Simpsons will do one episode a year that has some sort of environmental theme to it. Yeah. And it's because there's some like award out there that they award things in television and movies. Like if you bring attention to some sort of environmental thing, cause exactly, then you'll get you could win this award, and they win it like every year or something. And this movie made me think of that. I was like, I feel like they won some kind of award.
Really good like set design on this building that's been blown up. All the pictures are crooked, and then earlier we saw chalk outlines on the walls.
Just like limbs. It's just like chalk outlines of limbs on the walls.
Oh, here's a guy right
Are there
there.
any other bodies? You're standing on one, Frank.
Let's talk about Robert Goulet. He's the villain.
Name a third Robert Goulet movie besides this and Beetlejuice.
Oh, is there one?
Is he in the Ghoulies? Ghoulies?
I see it. No, you're thinking of Robert Goulet.
Oh my god! I thought they were the same guy.
Does The Simpsons count? He was on The Simpsons, this, and Beetlejuice, like all in like a 3-year span, and then kind of didn't.
Did anybody do any research? Why is Robert Goulet famous? I understand that he's like
Was he a singer?
Yeah,
he's like a lounge
singer.
singer kind of guy, right?
Yeah, and I think he had one of those guys who had like a Vegas residency back before you had to be a huge pop star to do that.
Robert Goulet. Will Ferrell did a great impression of him.
As far as we know, because we don't really know what Robert Goulet does.
Well, we know how he sounds.
Between him and Mel Torme, we get two kind of loungy singers in this.
But they don't sing.
Nope.
But speaking of singing,
Mel Torme doesn't even have a line.
this lounge singer is great. I love her.
Yeah, this song is hilarious.
She's like, I want to die, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's great that there's
Oh yeah.
a piano player in here because they do the Casablanca reference.
Yeah.
And
Not-
I don't know
not
if that's
only
like
that-
the Chicago Fire. We got the Hindenburg on the wall. I think this is the Lusitania is a sinking steamship.
I think it's
the Titanic.
They don't have pictures of the Titanic.
They don't have
guys.
pictures of the Lusitania.
Yeah, they
either.
do. That's one right there, I think.
The Lusitania was like a warship, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it got sunk in front of people, unlike the Titanic. Which
I'm
got
pretty
sunk-
They didn't have
sure
cameras.
they just
There's
met-
the Dukakis one.
Yeah.
that we,
and this woman has pills and ropes in case you want to kill yourself.
Yes, the cigarette girl is selling suicidal implements.
And it's funny that everyone knows this is where he would be.
Yeah. It's the mopey single man bar.
Yeah, they never named.
I
the
love
place.
this. Give me the strongest thing you got. And the muscle guy comes over, and I love when that he orders a Black Russian, and the
The guy
waiter
looks at the
just looks at the
screen.
camera, and he's
Yeah.
like, "No, we're not going to do it."
I love that too.
But then he doesn't bring him a Black Russian. He brings him like this impossible
Daiquiri?
drink.
Yeah.
like some kind of cocktail, some kind of tiki drink with like everything in it.
That's because that's what Jane bought for him.
Oh yeah.
No, because he brings this over before. He brings, and it's got like
Oh,
not only
right.
does it have an umbrella and a dangly thing and a pickle, it's also got a shrimp in it.
Shrimp.
By the way,
Looks
Leslie
delicious.
does a lot with his eyes, and it's very good. He's a good comic.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is he's just like being like the character. The character's just real dumb. Like,
Real dumb, but real sincere and serious.
yes.
Was he Mr. Magoo?
I think he
Was
was.
he? Yeah. And
Oh yeah,
there was
he
like
was.
that.
I
not
saw that
great-
in theaters.
Yeah.
I was a little
Yeah, his
disappointed.
post Naked Gun career is like that, and
Spy
then
Hard.
a bunch of scary movies. Right, he's in
Yeah.
the later scary movies.
Yeah.
Spy Hard. Yeah,
Every time he said, I think about you and Edna. You live together, you sleep with her, you eat with her, you share every waking moment of your life. And just George Kennedy's expression throughout this speech, just getting more and more miserable. And then as he starts talking about like girls who can't say no, girls who can't get enough, they're 20-year-olds, more, and he just starts like his
it's your turn to
expression
wear the
changes.
handcuffs.
I love the first line he says to him. Oh, congratulations, Ed. I heard about Edna. I heard Edna's expecting again. And he's like, yeah, and if I find the son of a bitch who did it.
That's such a great line.
Yeah, and just the fact that Ed's wife is named Ed.
Yeah. because what else would it be in this movie?
But yeah, Robert Goulet is pretty good in this. I think his reactions are pretty good. Also, he's kind of like
This joke here, where he tries to go from like one side of the bar to the other, and it's too difficult. Like, to me, these are somewhat like, this is kind of funny, but the jokes in the first one were funnier. Like the little in between things that are just
Yeah.
like, I just feel like the first one's a superior.
This thing
visual gag.
Yeah,
They missed an opportunity with this thing. When he sat down, the guy should have indicated he's interested in him.
Yeah. I thought the same. I thought that was what was going to happen, and it didn't.
Yeah, I also thought that joke could have been. It was like,
Oh,
what's the funniest thing we could put here? A guy. You know, it's like
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not-
exactly.
it's not
Like a kind of
inspired.
scary looking guy.
however, Sam, play our song just one more time, and the song that he plays is
Ding
pretty
Dong
good.
the Witch is dead. Yeah, I think they do that, and they do that gag a lot where he's like, where you have to have, I mean, it's a little suspension of disbelief, which is easy in this movie, but it's this thing where he's got to sit down at the table and without looking up, go into this big long monologue. He also kisses Barbara Bush later with the same thing, that he's just going to like do things blindly without paying attention to what's right in front of him. He sells it about as well as you can.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a you know,
Cartoony.
old sad gag that isn't really, you know, doesn't really land as
Yeah.
well as you'd hope it would.
We were talking about the Zsa Zsa Gabor thing and the bushes and everything. This one is the most like of its time. I feel like the baseball game thing is like a bunch of those
Timeless.
jokes in the baseball thing are still relevant to baseball today.
Yeah.
And then the Academy Awards thing in the next movie is like still relevant to like the way they do the.
It's the
Academy
bomb.
Awards. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, this,
sawdust and mildew.
I love that. This is the this is definitely the most like contemporaneous, or you know, the least evergreen of all of them.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, like Bush was only a one-term president, and we know a lot about the
Yeah,
time
because
of,
it's of our time.
of-
Like new
yeah.
generations, I don't even think they're gonna know that's the.
they only know
Hindenburg.
the new Bush, the W Bush.
Not even that. Like,
Yeah.
why would anyone know that's Dukakis?
Oh no,
Oh yeah, that Dukakis joke, when he came up, I was like, I know that's Michael Dukakis, I think. But I was even like, and I was, you guys probably weren't even old enough to remember the Dukakis.
I had to think about
election.
it for a second, and I was like, "Oh, that's probably Dukakis." I don't think I know what he looks like even, but I can guess that.
I
That's
knew
who
about the
that is.
tank thing. The tank thing was classic.
Honestly, like most of my
This is a
knowledge
great-
from
this is
this
a great
era.
line too. I love being single. I haven't had this much sex since I was a scout leader.
And then he goes to justify
Everyone-
what he means.
Everyone's quiet. He's like,
I was dating a lot at the time.
I love this. Like, he has these looks when he knows that it's usually when he destroys something by accident and he's the only one who realizes he's at fault.
Yeah.
And as the chaos ensues, he just has he kind of looks around and just sort of segues away. It's like a great bit that he does all the time that just is
Yeah.
all on his face.
I mean, like a lot of times in these movies, he has like either no self-awareness about the other people in the room at all, or like everyone's looking at him, and so like him playing those like turns is
Yeah.
always so good.
They just showed the reveal of Robert Goulet walking out from the shadows, revealing that he's the big bad, and they did the same exact reveal in the first one, where Ricardo Montalban walks out of the shadows.
This scene reminds me of the 1989 Batman with Jack Palance.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There was actually a scene in the last movie where we thought, it was like a riff on Batman. He like hits a bad guy who falls into a vat of
Boiling acid.
nuclear waste, and his hand like reaches out and goes like this, which is like ripped right from Batman. But
Right.
that Naked Gun came out first,
Oh yeah.
so it's
It
one
did.
of those weird things, coincidences.
By the way, this scene is amazing, and I think we're talking about it before we start recording, because all the technologies that they're talking about is very relevant now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like double pane windows, and even the solar electric car.
Yeah.
Like there are companies working on that right now. I mean, the electric car is now common,
thing,
but
right.
there's that level of
And
the
even
solar.
they have a fluorescent light, but it's really turned into LEDs. But it's still the same
Yeah,
idea.
same idea.
And it's so funny to see, because this is actually what happened. Like, this movie predicted and you think about a movie that was made in 1991, and now
Well, you could use the same plot today as
30
what we were
years
saying.
later.
30 almost 35 years later, the exact same stuff is still struggling to get a foothold because the energy companies sat in a room like this and conspired to destroy these, environmentally safe products.
I was about to say, we know there was an instance of these meetings somewhere.
Yeah.
We're just missing great jokes. And
What was it? What was it?
when he
I
pulls
love
his disguise off?
Yeah, the
And
reveal
the hair.
of the
hair, yeah.
the Mindhammer impersonator is great.
I'm
And
like,
then
is that meatloaf?
And I love- he just sticks his tongue out. He's like,
they put a parking boot on the other guy's wheelchair.
Does they do this same? Is that
Weird
Weird
Al?
Al?
Yep.
Oh fuck! I didn't even realize that was Weird
wait,
Al.
I
Weird
didn't
Al's in
know
all
either.
three?
Weird Al's in all three, yeah.
Wow.
This is the only one where he's not playing himself.
That's wonderful.
We don't know that.
For our audience, Weird Al is the crazy
Gunman,
doped
crazed
up
gunman.
hoodlum at the police station who somehow seized a cop's gun and is holding everyone hostage until Frank Drebin comes in and hits him with a door.
Oh my god, I love background gags.
Yeah.
Real quick, I was gonna say before, my knowledge of like political things from this era is so seeped in my mind from The Simpsons. Like every joke, because The Simpsons is this same time period.
Yeah.
And they were just making fun of like the politics and like the current events of the time. And so I feel like
When this George Bush moves in across the street from The Simpsons
Oh,
is
yeah.
like one of the all-time most memorable ones. For
totally,
me.
I love that
Yeah.
episode.
Oh, what about this one?
My wife is a transsexual Satan worshiper.
Yeah, he goes, I'm on Geraldo. He's like, what, you're taking this dinosaur footprint? He's like, no, my wife is a
Just, like,
transsexual
continues to
Satan
react to that.
worshiper.
And,
The
and
whole
again,
time.
no judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment.
It's
happens.
accepted.
Yep.
Somebody's got to be on Geraldo.
Another current thing that's still going on today: transsexual Satan worshippers.
Maybe this will help. We found the guy's wallet.
But But here's the thing: he doesn't pull out an ID. He pulls out a news clipping.
Right.
Yep. Do you guys keep news clippings in your wallet anymore?
Well, of every prize fight I've ever fought.
And then this whole long thing with people with state names who didn't fight in that state.
This is so good.
It's all the same.
This is in the top 5 things in this movie. I think this little exchange about Tex, Colorado, and who's from North or South Dakota.
This is one of your favorite. I'm trying to think of
in this movie. This has got to be top
does
5.
This too. You know, remember from Forrest Gump?
But this is better. This goes on for like a long time. All I know is never bet on the white guy.
I think there's a agreement amongst them.
Oh yeah, they all know.
No,
Sex
not right
Frank?
now.
That's one of my favorite jokes in the movie.
Yeah.
What would he be doing in the red light district? Sex, Frank? Not right now, Ed. We've got to get back to the case.
Is it this movie?
This is from the show. The
Oh, they do the same thing.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Where the background is actually Italy.
Oh, I love this bit when she's like, "Is this a bust?" He's like, "That's very impressive."
it's very, is this some kind of bust?
Yeah. That's
Oh, the other bit in this scene that's wonderful is he has something on order that's ready to be picked up.
Yeah.
Shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, is it this movie or the previous one where she's like describing something and she's like, he had a mustache, 6'3", and he's
That's
like,
this one, and we missed
Yeah.
that joke. That's actually my favorite joke in this movie. Is like
it's a pretty big mustache.
Yeah, he's Caucasian. Yeah, white guy, 6'3", white guy, mustache, about 6'3". That's a big mustache. His delivery of that's a big
Amazing.
mustache because he's just like
Amazing.
it's like he's thinking about it. He's like trying to picture it in his head. I can see that guy. Yeah, that's a big mustache.
What
this
actress is this?
Yeah, she looks really familiar.
She looks a lot like Juliette Lewis, but that's
Yes,
not,
that's
who
what
it is.
I
But that's
thought.
not Juliette Lewis's bust.
Yeah.
Is she one of the mob girlfriends from Goodfellas? I feel like she looks like someone from
Maybe.
Goodfellas.
I don't know. We could use the internet.
I think she's quite possibly nobody.
Everybody's nobody to you, Harris.
I love this like quaint looking guy who works there.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, this Swedish thing, sexual toy that he ordered, that's from
Austin Powers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, this laid the groundwork. I mean, I'm not saying this is where Mike Myers picked it up from, but it's
could be.
definitely a coincidence.
Or maybe they're both talking about a similar Swedish sex pump.
Yeah, maybe Swedish sex pumps were big.
Maybe it's true that they are the best, as I've often heard.
Should we clarify for the listeners that Frank has pursued a lead to a sex shop? Like that's clear, right?
I mean, we
Hopefully
could
they're
summarize
watching
the
along
plot.
with us.
This is also where Nordberg goes on his grand ride, begins his grand ride to Detroit
But all
via
the-
van, car, and bus.
All the
and
stuff that happens to Nordberg and the other one's funnier though. Like this is just
Well, not a lot happens. Nordberg's got 2 scenes in the other one. They're
What does
tiny.
that street sign
Yeah.
say? I'm always trying to figure out where in LA they're filming. This is definitely. I've been on this hill.
I feel like it's near Glendale.
yeah.
We already established this all takes place in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But somehow it looks like
This
Southern
is,
California.
that's Baxter.
Baxter.
Yeah, like the steepest. I've never been there before. I was just there a couple weeks ago. It is insane. So like when you drive over the top of that, you can't see anything.
Is that Echo Park?
Around there, yeah. And when you get to the top of that, even like it's like flat ground, and then you start going down the hill. And when you start going down the hill, you cannot see if there was somebody parked right in front of you, you wouldn't be able to see them until you're like leaning down the hill. And then it's like the top of a fucking roller coaster ride where I was afraid my car would, if I tried to stop, my car would just slide on dry ground.
Matt, you were right. That woman is one of the mob wives in Goodfellas.
McGregor for the
Nice
win.
job.
Yeah.
I know my Goodfellas mob
Boobs.
girlfriends.
She's
Boobs,
also in
yeah.
she's also in the X-Files movie, which is interesting.
Oh, maybe we'll be seeing that soon. Who knows?
Oh God.
Why is Detroit the city that this bus is going to? Is that from the first one?
I think
or
it's
something?
just that it's far.
That's the funniest.
But not too far.
It's
Yeah, and
far
also,
and
like-
shitty. Like why?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like a
Miami.
vacation destination. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not Miami exactly.
No judgment if you prefer your vacations in Detroit. Though.
But nobody does, so we don't have to worry about that.
Somebody must.
Speaking of top 5 or whatever you guys do, this part where he taps him on the back, I love it.
It's just
And the
shoots.
guy just starts going, and everybody takes out their gun, including Frank.
yeah, that's the funniest part. So he's shooting
He
too.
started it and he joins it. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is what we're doing."
For me, I like the guy who has a donut in his mouth, still like shooting
one-handed with his assault rifle.
with the coffee in the other hand.
I thought that joke that they just did where they showed some like Davy
Crockett.
Crockett.
yeah.
Like
That's not that good.
exactly.
I liked
okay.
it. I liked it.
We're always trying to find like what is the weakest joke in this movie or the strongest.
Well, it's just because like we have to establish like what are the differences between the three? You know, is one better or worse? And like obviously, like to me, this is. Although I do love it and will watch it anytime, this is the weak point of the franchise.
Oh, it gets better on the third one?
I think 1 and 3 are better than 2.
I've seen the third one the least. So
Really? I've seen this one the least.
I probably have seen this one almost as much as the first.
I saw the third one in the theater, and I remember liking it a lot, especially as like a movie nerd. Like I remember because it's about the Oscars mostly, and like I remember thinking it was funny. However, I do remember seeing it like later in life and realizing like, number one, this movie is really short, and 2, it's not as funny as I remember.
That was my big takeaways from it were that it's incredibly short.
Yeah.
Like this movie's short. That movie, 33 1/3, is super short.
Yeah.
And it just felt like it didn't cover as much ground as the other ones. Didn't go in as many interesting places.
Like the baseball sequence in 1 is pretty long. It's like a third of the movie, and it just goes on, and it's just banger after banger. And then I remember the Oscar sequence. I remember it being long in my memory as a kid, but then seeing it as an adult, it's like it's not that long.
It's only like 15.
Yeah.
By the way, for movie theaters, these short running times are amazing. They can pack in more show times on a single screen.
Well, for a movie like this, you can't make it like 2.5 hours long.
Well, movie theaters used to hate the 3-hour movies. Now I think they're just, if it'll bring in butts and seats, they're happy.
I love this bit about him. So he slams a tank through the guy's house and then through a wall, and turns out to be the wall of a zoo, and it releases all the animals. And throughout the rest of the movie, you see the animals pop up.
Does anyone remember 12 Monkeys?
Yeah. I think a giraffe running is inherently funny.
Yes.
Like they don't seem like they were made to do anything like running.
I want to know how they did those scenes. There's no CGI in this. They had to bring a giraffe out.
Yep. You want a giraffe in your movie back in the old days? You had to have a fucking giraffe in your movie.
I feel like there used to be more animal handlers in general in like the entertainment industry.
For sure.
Your coat, sir? Yes, it's mine, and I've got the receipt to prove it.
I can't tell if her pulling an antenna out of this phone is a gag or not.
It is.
I feel like it is, but
This line is great too. She says, "Do you realize that because of you, this city is being overrun by baboons?" And he says,
"The voters."
Well, isn't that the fault of the voters? And then you hear
I'm telling you, it's another play on the whole Bush administration.
Yeah.
yeah, this is like the most political Naked Gun.
Yeah. I honestly, you know what I wish there was more of? We're jumping ahead here, but the mariachi part, I wish there was more to that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Also, the thing, they're in a big ballroom at a ball here, and then the movie ends in another big ballroom that is probably like the same set.
Yeah. In fact, I just had the thought, like, are we at the end already?
Yeah. That's kind of,
This movie's got a lot of balls.
Yes.
You know what button I just
So
pushed.
what? So airplane sets the tone. The sense, like, what's the genealogy? Airplane, then these. There was the Hot Shots
I think it was
movies.
Kentucky Fried Movie was the Zaz first movie.
Is that any good? I've never seen that.
It's good. It's like just
It's a bunch of like sketches. Yeah.
But it's what's interesting about it is they're not like they're sketches that progress. It's like if you're flipping through the channel and catching different parts of different movies. So you'll see like an intro scene of one movie, and then later you'll see like the ending. So they're not like beholden to spoof an entire movie, but they can sort of jump. I remember I think it's that one, or maybe it's Amazon Women on the Moon. It's probably Amazon Women on the Moon, because there's a space scene in that, because Amazon Women on the Moon is a similar movie. There's a space scene where the guys get out of their spaceship and one of the guys takes off his helmet and he goes, good old H2O. It's just, as a kid, I thought that was like the funniest thing.
By the way, watching the dance scene, I found it remarkable that they're delivering their lines while doing these crazy moves.
He rips her dress off and she's got like a shorter one on. Yeah, this is great. All this is great. Like, how long did it? Obviously, that's not them.
Yeah, that's
but how long did it take them to choreograph and get? All those down,
that's the thing. It's all practical.
Yeah.
Even the doubles, they put the camera far enough where It doesn't matter that they're doubles.
Did you mention before that all the animals are real? There's no CGI.
Yeah.
I love that too. It's like it would just not be done today. A movie like this, it would be all fake CGI, shitty looking animals.
They got pretty nice looking animals now. You can just buy animals online, like CGI animals, pre-made.
Yeah.
You want a running giraffe? I got
Pre-rendered,
that.
Yeah.
You know, animals never had a war. Who's the real animals?
Oh shit. Good point.
Colin, just because the movie's political doesn't mean we have to get political. No blood for oil.
Matt, would this be greenlit today? No way, right?
I was just gonna ask a similar question. Like, can a movie like this be made today?
Even
What's
on,
the last spoof movie that came out?
Probably like superhero movie or epic movie. Those movies killed it. They buried this genre. There's nothing like. You could maybe count like A Million Ways to Die in the West, the Seth MacFarlane movie.
I guess so.
Something like this, yeah.
a little more highbrow, I guess.
It's spoofing, but
Yeah.
there's more of a plot. You're more supposed to be more into the characters.
But it's also ridiculous. It's not trying to be a real comedy. It's trying to be a spoof.
Yeah.
It's definitely just like a gag is more important than plot or verisimilitude or anything.
But yeah, something of this caliber, can it ever be made again? I don't know. I also love the Hot Shots movies. I think
so do I.
Great job. Yeah.
And to your point, they're spoofing movies that are in the theater, basically. Not literally, but like of the same time, like the Rambo movies,
Top Gun.
Kickboxer.
My favorite gag in Hot Shots Part 2 is when they find him. They're like trying to find him, Charlie Sheen, and he's in like the jungles of some country, and he's like a fighter, right? He's like fighting to make money, and they pull out like I forget which movie it is, Kickboxer or something. He's got like the gloves on and he dips them in broken glass. It's Kickboxer, yeah.
With Van Damme.
But do you remember the gag from Hot Shots?
Yeah, it was caramel
And like Skittles
gummy
and gummy bears. It's like a build your own ice cream.
Yeah, Cold Stone.
I like this part where he ends up upside down with his crotch.
Yeah,
and-
that's
You know what it
part of his
reminded me
face.
of? Borat. Because the hotel scene when they're naked, it's kind of...
Borat's another similar. I mean, it's obviously different, but it's kind of in the same vein of like a joke. The jokes just keep coming.
Yeah.
Or something like Tropic Thunder, which isn't really a spoof, but it manages to be both a spoof and it is kind of a spoof.
That's a
but
little
it's-
more plot heavy too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely trying to but it's definitely spoofing war movies, spoofing Hollywood, spoofing a lot of stuff. It's just, I don't think you can do one like this that's so focused on the gags. That's like the Scary Movie franchise. I think that,
because
There is
there's
some
a
coming
line.
out, by the way. History of the World Part 2.
Oh, that's a show though. They made it into a
Yeah,
show.
but...
that's Mel Brooks. He never really stopped doing them.
Right.
I mean,
and that's going to be more like sketches, I think.
Okay.
Which is kind of what that movie is like.
Right.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
History of the World is sketches.
What the hell was I just going to say? I don't know. I
don't
lost
know.
it. I lost it.
There was that E.T. reference right there with the wheelchair by
To
the...
me, that's not one of the better jokes in this one, though.
Yeah, it's sort of I was going to say, with movies like this, there's sort of a line that if you cross it, it's like the eye roll line. Like if
Yeah.
you roll your eyes and you're like, oh, all right, this is dumb. Like then you feel dumb watching the movie. You're like, okay, this movie is for dummies. Like the jokes have to be smart dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to, they're dumb, but only a smart person will get them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if they're dumb, then
You lose the audience.
you lose the audience. Exactly. And I think that's what some of those later scary movies, that is a huge pig.
that was a huge, that's a big pig.
Some of the later scary movies just got so silly and dumb. And then those epic movies, like to the point where they're not for smart people anymore. They're for idiots, you know? And that's not what you want in a spoof movie, I think.
By the way, I found myself laughing out loud at least 3-4 times.
This bit right here?
No, just
throughout
the
whole
movie. Yeah, and that really surprised me.
You guys
Yeah,
know, like when I was young, I once saw the world's largest pig at the state fair in Oklahoma. It was horrifying.
Why would I know that?
It was so
It wasn't in your
disgusting.
biography.
It was so disgusting.
Was it a pig or a boar?
It was like bigger than a horse, but like not taller than a
Boars
horse.
have tusks.
It was like, please kill me.
It was scary. It smelled bad, and like it wasn't like able to freely roam because like I don't think it could like walk without like breaking its own legs from its like weight.
Yeah,
or
what did it have to
something.
walk for? I bet
So it
they were
was just
feeding
like-
it pretty well without it having to move at all.
It was just like in a pin that was like just around it. It was so gross.
There's a lot of like nonsensical gags in her apartment because they have all the animals that she's feeding, which kind of pays off when the guy trips over the pig as he's leaving. But they also have the refrigerator that's big enough that she gets lost in. I don't really understand what the gag is with her
Yeah, it's not
throwing
that
all
funny.
these vegetables and sausages and candy bars into a blender.
Blending was big back then. It was like blenders finally reached the peak of their blending ability.
The only thing is she
Raw.
throws weenies in there.
And then it's Charleston Chew still in the wrapper.
Yeah. But I like this gag coming up where she takes her shoes off and
Yes, that I think I audibly laughed at that.
yeah.
He's a foot taller and he's left-handed now. Do you think he's a different person?
How does she know he's a foot taller? He's in a wheelchair.
That's a double gag.
But I love how she says, like she explains, like, are you saying that he's been a double that's meant to fool the president? He's like, that's a lot better than what I was coming up with.
Oh yeah,
Like
this guy
he knew something was up, but he had no idea what the
her shoes are huge.
Yeah. Imagine the prop department who had to make that. That's awesome.
yeah.
These movies must be so fun to work on.
Oh yeah.
And I also like this gag of this like ex-boxer turned like hitman, whatever, who, goes into the shower and just can't help but join in
The way we were.
to
singing?
singing
Yeah.
the way we were with her.
That's a pretty good bit.
His death, I remember it clearly, like when I was a kid seeing it, and it freaked me out. I just remember like
Yeah.
thinking, "Wow, that's a horrible way to die." It's
Fire
just
hose.
so stupid. What's he doing in Detroit? Send him plane fare and a new pair of pants. How much underwear? Is she wearing?
She's just wearing tons of underwear.
I thought this was gonna be a Psycho spoof, but
Yeah, they could have
is.
done something kind of there.
It still kind of is. Like just
a little bit.
And you got the
creeping
nice
in the shower.
The nice
Yeah.
moment when their struggle opens the shower curtain and she's standing there and they both like pause the fight to,
To ogle her.
Leslie ends up hugging him.
yeah, he's like, oh.
What has this Victor Savage guy been in besides this?
I don't know.
feel
I don't
I've seen
recognize him.
I feel like he's been.
Let's do Victor Savage actor top 4.
Yeah, who are
Yeah,
gonna do
let's
top
do
4
that.
for Robert Goulet?
I'm gonna look him up, but I don't think we should play top 4. Who are we gonna top 4? Should we go ahead and just do it?
Yeah, maybe now's a good time.
Let me look up the Victor Savage
Yeah,
guy
look up
first.
Victor Savage first, and then we should do a top 4 of
George Kennedy.
Weird Al
That's,
Yankovic.
like, super difficult.
What are
Oh, it's not Victor Savage. It's Hector Savage. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic might be an interesting one, maybe.
Yeah, he's in enough. He does. It's nice to build your acting career just on cameos of playing
Yeah,
yourself.
Oh, this is interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, so the guy who plays Hector Savage is also in Unforgiven from 1992.
Oh, yeah, he's skinny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Skinny.
Oh shit!
He runs a brothel.
Yeah, wow.
He's also in the Heat of the Night from 1967.
Yes, I remember him in that.
Which is a film that many of us have probably seen. And he's also in High Plains Drifter, another
Clint Eastwood.
one.
Oh, so he's a Clint Eastwood boy.
Played shady Western types.
Yeah. So those three,
And I can see it now. Like now that I'm not seeing him as like a John Cazale, poor man's John Cazale or whatever.
Yeah, it's his floppy like haircut that he has here
the
that
haircut's
throws it off.
ruining it.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see him in like Westernish stuff.
Yeah, but those 3 movies and this are his top 4.
I so remember this scene from the trailer.
This scene?
Yeah, I think so. Or it was very memorable from watching the movie a long time ago.
In the early 90s, like having an electric toothbrush was like such a prestige thing, you know? Like,
This is he gets a towel thrown in his face.
Wasn't that a gag in the first one? Too,
yeah,
where
the
somebody
pillow,
throws, like a pillow,
the pillow that
yeah.
the guy's trying to suffocate Nordberg with. He throws the
It's just
pillow.
so stupid.
You know what other gag I love that they keep doing over and over? Like if they get something on their face, they just run their hand over it and it's perfectly gone.
Yeah, he's got that great moment at the end where he's soaking wet and his hair's a mess. It's like
Yeah.
Frank Drebin. I should have known. He leans down and straightens his hair, and all of a sudden he's like perfectly coiffed and dry again.
Oh, I'm thinking of all these bits from the third movie. I
Oh wait,
can't
you
wait.
thought someone could die like this?
Yeah.
I didn't realize what you were saying. They do a
gets
good
the,
job. Like this movie
How
had a
did they
bigger budget
do
than
it?
the first one. Like they clearly had money to spend because this shit isn't cheap. The
Effects?
animals, the making this guy inflate with water and then explode. I love how he springs leaks before he explodes.
Yeah, they stick the hose in his mouth and he just slowly fills up
Gets
with water.
inflated like he's what's
But
Newman
instead
in
of trying
Space Jam.
to stop it from happening, he just wants out of that
Yeah.
area because he knows it's going to be a bloody mess.
Yeah.
Even let me back
He
in
tells
the
her don't leave
apartment.
until they've shampooed the carpets.
That's pretty fucked up.
Who would want to kill you, Frank? Before today, just the cable company.
Stealing cable.
Like, how do you write a movie like this? Do you write the plot first and then go through and like
Yeah, of course.
figure
Yeah,
out
it
the
has to be
jokes?
the
You can-
jokes after the plot.
One word at a time, Matt.
Yeah.
Same as anything else.
One letter, one word.
I guess it's my dream to write a movie like this, so I'm gonna start tonight.
I want to know how much ad lib there was, if
I
any.
bet you none.
I've heard that the Zucker brothers don't like ad lib and they discourage it. And, I don't even know if they do like alts, like a lot of people who do broad comedy have like tons of alt jokes that they throw in and record. I feel like they just figure out what the script is.
Well,
and
it's
they're like,
so
okay,
well
here's the story.
crafted, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
'cause-
mess with it; it won't work.
and they have these background gags and these like everything's really timed out. It's not kind of that free for all, Adam McKay type. Hey, let's just get a bunch of takes and see what happens.
Especially with like
first-
jokes built into the set like that. Like some of them are working directly with what's going on, and it has to be what it's written.
I think I had read for the first movie that there's no ad libbing, but one of the whoever the director is, Zucker, he would get to the set, and see the set for the first time and kind of walk around and figure out like visual gags that you could do and then kind of rewrite them right there on the spot.
Yeah.
So it was less like, ooh, that's good, let's try that in the next take, but it was more like, okay, on this set, like there's a vase here, he
Right.
can knock this over, or whatever.
Do you think they keep on finding reasons for Leslie Nielsen to take his shirt off because it's kind of funny what great shape he's in?
The gag in this when they show his like rippling biceps, like
it's like it's a body double.
yeah.
By the way, this is not a family movie at all. I don't know if she puts her hand down.
That is a hilarious joke. She sticks her hand down the
His
sculpted
jeans.
abs into his jeans and pulls out a big wad of clay.
You know what? I will say that today's family world is like so like
Asexual.
asexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were kids, every movie had
Yeah,
like
for
sex
sure.
in it. And like,
and
this,
or
this was
references
considered-
to it.
Yeah, like this
Yeah.
isn't sexual. This is a joke that has something to do with a woman sticking.
My
her
dad
hands,
or someone would jokingly say like, "Close your eyes" or "Look away."
Yeah, that's
or
what I would
something.
get too.
You know,
But I
today-
You
also-
didn't actually have to do it.
I feel
No.
like even the stuff when we were younger that was family friendly in a way that like did not really touch on the subject of sexuality had more references to like something like intimacy or something like that. Like I feel like today's like all ages stuff it is very like asexual.
Yeah, none of the
You were
Avengers
saying.
have ever had sex.
Well, but
They can't get those suits off.
but like you think
People
about
don't even kiss in movies anymore.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like
By the way, this is
The
another
montage-
great.
the
Yes,
sex
the
is
montage.
excellent.
It
starts
keeps
off,
going.
Starts off with like flowers and whatever, but
but this is a reference to like stuff they used to do in movies.
Yeah,
and
oh,
like this
totally.
is stuff you never do in a movie. You never even like they don't even go into bedrooms.
the erecting of an obelisk,
the obelisk thing is
firing
pretty
of a
funny, yeah.
rocket, and then obviously like train into a tunnel and all these other.
But I
things.
love that these are clips from old movies.
But
Yeah.
then at the end, it's like the oil well.
It's so lazy.
Put on a bun.
The guy in the human cannonball.
A train going into
I
a
love
tunnel.
when she rips the things off, they have the human cannonball fires, and then the oil derrick like spurts and then fireworks.
It's wonderful.
The best sex scene spoof though is from Hot Shots when he cracks an egg on her.
I was
belly.
just talking about that.
Because that's like a direct Top Gun reference.
But it's so much funnier. Like
The dam has
it
broke,
takes it so
fellas.
far. Like making a joke about that one Top Gun reference and like taking it to the level they took it to in the Hot Shots thing is like.
There's even I forgot about the basketball.
A slam dunk superimposed over fireworks.
I like. I wish that I could play that in the background anytime I.
Yeah. Well, in honor of that scene and of Jerry Zucker, the director of Ghost, let's do a Demi Moore. or Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, something related to Ghosts.
Top 4.
Yeah, let's do both of them. Can we do Swayze first?
I think we can do both of them. Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do Swayze first.
Okay.
Did you guys notice that the boat is called the Habsburg Valdez?
Yeah.
Because he's clearly Exxon.
Yes.
That's another reference that people won't get today.
Oh yeah, they don't get that. Hold on, give me a moment. I got to go to IMDb.
Take your time.
IMDb Patrick Swayze, known for top 4, License to Watch. Here we go.
Arbi goes first.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse is correct.
That is correct.
I feel like this might be like a perfect.
Oh, I'm gonna blow it on this one.
Oh, once you say that,
Yeah, I know. I feel like the pressure's really on me. I'm gonna go with Ghost.
Ghost is correct.
That is correct.
Don't blow it, Matt.
I'm gonna blow it now. Okay, let's think. Oh. I'm gonna say Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing is correct.
That is correct.
Oh, I have to obviously. Can't remember the title. Help me out. What's the Keanu Reeves movie?
Point Break.
Point Break.
Point Break is correct.
Oh,
That
perfect
is
4 for 4. We're
correct.
too smart for the
You
game.
know,
4 for 4.
I think we need like another sound effect because that truly is like that is his top 4.
Yeah.
It, like
Yes,
IMDb got it right.
Like maybe Red Dawn is the only one.
I was gonna say Tu Wong Fu.
Yeah. I mean, there are other ones that he's in, but I think those are the first 4 movies you think of, and IMDb nailed it.
This bit was great too. It's like
Yes,
the
drunken-
captain like training video. And
Yes,
they're like driving like little fucking go
The-
karts.
it's the minimum things that you want for this important guy who will end up dumping gallons of oil into the ocean.
For God's sake, don't swim here. I never noticed that.
Raw sewage. That would be me. I've been swimming in raw sewage. I love it.
Oh, all these videos that they watch are great too.
Yeah, the power company is putting out commercials that are basically propagandizing them. And this guy comes out and he's like, solar power will be great for us someday, but for now, we're just happy to be living next to this nuclear power plant that gives us
They're
all the
living
power
next to
that
like 4 nuclear power plants.
yeah, for
the-
some reason.
The dog has
what are
two
those towers
tails.
called?
Cooling towers, yeah.
Yeah, but-
silos, right?
No, silos have grain in them and shit.
And but silo has to have a lid too, right?
Yeah.
I think they're cooling towers.
Cooling towers. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
Whatever.
The dog's
Top 4.
got 2
The
tails.
dog's got 2 tails.
Top 4.
Wait,
Demi Moore.
just question. Do you think they had to stick something up the dog's ass to get those? Because sheepdogs usually don't even have 1 tail, and that was clearly a sheepdog with 2 wagging tails. Do you think they had to stick something electric?
I wonder if it's
No.
a sheepdog that did not have a tail, and they were able
most
to
of them
like
don't.
Yeah. Oh,
But
at
how do they
all?
hook that? Well, most of them have them snipped. But how do they hook that appliance that?
Onto the fur. Why do you assume it's like a rectal probe?
Because it sticks so directly
No, it's
out of
not.
the dog. It seems like they would have to be like a harness or something.
Whatever it is, they did a great job.
They did a great job.
I don't
but
think
but
there's
I do think
anything-
it was in the butt.
I'm gonna
Why do you think that?
respectfully disagree.
Whatever. Top 4, Demi Moore.
This is a good gag with him
Yeah, this is great.
trying
great.
to avoid the killer dogs, and he accidentally pulls a Doberman up onto the roof.
This dog does a great job.
By the way, Dobermans in this time period had a moment where they were just like the meanest dog in the world. Now it's pit
That's
bulls,
true.
as it always should be.
Yeah.
But there were 5 Dobermans. I probably told this story in the podcast before. There were 5 Dobermans that lived in the house. You know, in Texas, they have these like rain runoffs behind the houses. And they lived on the other side of the rain runoff, and they had like 8-foot high fences, but the dogs would still somehow jump these fences and get loose in the neighborhood, and they were like mean. And it always terrified me. Like my biggest fear when I was a kid living in San Antonio was that the Dobermans would jump the fence and eat me.
I'm still kind of more scared of Dobermans than pit bulls. Like I feel like I've had like mixed experiences.
When's the last time you saw a Doberman? Too?
I don't
They're
know.
not
Yeah, that's
I see
also-
pit bulls all the time, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are very, very nice. I rarely see Dobermans.
I don't care what anyone says about pit bulls. Like I'm always how safe they say they are or whatever. Like whenever I take Maya to the dog park and there's a pit bull, I'm always like, stay the fuck away from that dog. Like
So
they're just
Dude, part of the problem.
I think the problem is you don't know their history.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, I mean,
all
like,
the pit bulls
also,
I've
like,
met are
They're
very
actually
nice.
like there are like mean dachshunds and stuff like that, but a
Yeah,
mean
they
dachshund
do as
can't
much
full on
damage.
kill
Yeah,
you.
exactly. A mean Shih Tzu isn't going to rip your arm off.
Yeah, it might try.
Are we doing the? We doing the?
Top 4 Demi Moore?
Demi Moore. All right, Arby, you're up.
G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane is correct.
That is
Indecent
correct.
proposal.
Indecent Proposal is correct.
That is correct.
I'm gonna say Ghost.
Ghost is correct.
Oh,
That
are we gonna
is
go 2 for correct.
2 on top 4s?
I'm not gonna make
Look,
it.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say Arby does not get this one.
Oh no, that means it's hard.
Help me out here with the title again. Tom Cruise, Rob Reiner movie.
Oh yeah, A Few Good Men.
Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men is incorrect, but that is a
That
great
was going to
guess.
be my guess. That was.
I've
gonna
seen
be,
A Few Good Men.
That was
like
going to be my next guess.
100 times.
But now my next guess is going to be, ooh, man, because you said that we probably wouldn't get it, so now I'm second guessing it. But
Yeah.
but I think the obvious one is Striptease.
Wrong.
Oh.
My second choice. Matt'll guess my second choice.
Okay. I was gonna guess Striptease.
I forgot about that one.
I will say. I'm gonna guess. I'm guessing it's like a younger Demi Moore, like one of her first. Don't say anything. Is she in? Wait a minute.
I got two that I really want to guess. I almost don't want to do a clue round because I think it's going to be one of these two.
Was she in a movie called About Last Night?
About Last Night is incorrect.
Fuck. But is she in that?
That's a good guess. I think so. I think
yeah.
so. And like you said, a very young role.
Charlie's Angels.
That
Full
was gonna be-
Throttle.
That was going to
Charlie's
be my guess.
Angels Full Throttle is correct.
Wow.
Nice job, Arby. That was gonna be my next guess. That or Nothing But Trouble. I thought.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Nothing But Trouble. God, that movie sucks.
Yeah, I've seen A Few Good Men a lot of times. I feel like we should do A Few Good Men on the Patreon.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Just
I
somehow.
And hey, who knows? Maybe we've already done it.
Have
we?
Maybe.
Oh, like
We don't know when this is gonna fucking air.
Oh yeah, right.
I've actually never seen A Few Good Men.
What?
Yep.
Whoa.
So you don't know the truth about it?
I can't handle it.
You can't handle the truth about it.
But bum.
Oh man, now we got to do A Few Good Men.
You
It's
haven't
a,
seen it?
It's a really good movie.
Oh
It's
my
one of those
God,
movies that
Markinson's a ghost. You'll
I've
never find him.
always wanted to see it, and it's just like I don't know. The opportunity has never presented itself.
That's the you know the story though. That's
Did you order the code red or not?
That's Sorkin's. That's Sorkin's breakout role. He was trying to make it as a playwright in New York, and he was literally like, I think he was like fucking waiting tables and shit. Like I think he was like that, down and out. All he had was this incredible talent, these stories that he wanted to get out of him, and a big pile of
People
cocaine.
must know about the social network.
But yeah, his sister sent him an article that A Few Good Men was based on, and he was trying to do it as a stage play. And
It
eventually,
was a stage play
Well,
first,
no,
right?
I think he ended up like selling it as a stage play and a film at the same time. I think it was like in pre-production as a movie before it was even on the stage.
Is Jack Nicholson only in that one scene?
No.
No, he's in the movie a lot, but they shot him out in 3.5 days.
Oh,
He's
wow.
he has
way.
like 3 scenes. Like he has 2 important scenes. He meets Tom Cruise in the beginning, and then he goes into court in the end.
But the courtroom scene at the end is like it's a big scene.
That's a long scene.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually love courtroom scenes. When
Me
they're
too.
Good,
How?
they're
Me
fucking
too.
good.
How have you not seen A Few Good Men?
I think I've seen that entire scene.
By the way, if you liken Son of a Woman, the end, that's kind of like a courtroom scene.
I've never seen Send.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've only smelled it.
Oh, the smell of fear.
Yeah.
Back to
I
this
can't believe
one.
you haven't seen A Few Good Men, and you've seen the end. You don't really know what they're talking about, then, do you?
Well, it's like world famous. So
Right.
I've seen the bits, the lines.
But you don't know why the truth is that we want him on that wall. We need him on that wall.
I don't know why people can't handle it. Quite honestly, like it seems perfectly handleable.
By the
to
way,
me.
there's famous stories that Jack Nicholson like the first take and the last take he did were the same effort, same performance, and there were takes where the camera wasn't even on him.
Yeah.
He was just there to help the other actors.
Well, he's
screaming in
Well,
that.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
He was big on. He's always been big on reading, even when he's not on camera.
Right.
So he doesn't want somebody acting opposite him, a script supervisor or some secondary actor who's doing that. So he's big on that. He didn't actually do the entirety of that movie, though, because they only had him for 3 days. They actually ran out of time, didn't finish the scenes, and had like a few more shots to get with him the next day. And so he agreed to, for free, without asking for any more money, stay an extra half a day. But he had a hard out that he had to get on a plane, and the judge had still not shot his parts of the Nicholson scene. So he had to leave, and he couldn't shoot opposite the judge. So they got Kevin Pollak,
Yes.
who does great impressions.
Yes.
And they were like, you do a good Jack Nicholson. Will you sit in and be Jack Nicholson? And everyone was blown away because not only did he know all the dialogue, because he'd been listening to Nicholson do it for 3 days, he did it like absolutely perfectly, and everyone was like applauding him every time they would yell cut because he was nailing it so bad.
It's such a good 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon movie too.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
Kevin Bacon's in it.
Oh my
and,
god,
like, all
It
the
has
other people.
so many.
In it.
It's such an all-star cast.
So you're saying that Jack Nicholson preferred to be there and do his lines even when he wasn't on camera?
Yes, he would
That's
be.
so-
he would read with other people.
That's
because
so
he-
opposite of every other actor.
Yeah,
That's
you
so
know,
But I think
real,
what
dude.
you're
Like,
saying
that's
is
like-
that wasn't just the case of that movie. That's
right,
just
I think
his
that's what
career.
He does. Yeah, I mean, maybe not every movie, but it seems like that's like a thing with him. Is he? And I've heard the same thing about Tom Hanks, that he likes to be a scene partner even when he's not on camera.
For Tom Hanks,
awesome.
it makes sense. I could see him being
Right,
just
right.
jolly
But you'd almost
and, like,
think Jack Nicholson is like, I'm fucking Jack
I'm
Nicholson.
going to my
I'll be in my
trailer.
trailer, getting high and
I'm
wearing
going to the
sunglasses.
Lakers.
I'm going to the Lakers
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think he takes he took his profession very seriously, because if you watch the documentary of The Shining, you get that feel like he's going to be there.
Yeah.
You're paying him, he's going to be there for you.
I want to read the lines with my co-stars.
Here's your favorite scene, Colin, the
Yeah,
Mark.
the Besame Mucho scene.
I love that they like immediately can do a mariachi song.
Yeah.
There's a thing where they all like do something at the same time, like, bah, and then they look at each other like, how do we do that?
They spin the guitars around.
Yeah, when they spin the guitars around.
They
just
get
the
a
audience
clap for
applauses.
that. Yeah.
They know when to turn.
And then the electric chair is wheelchair's turning on its own.
Wheelchairs doing the dance with them.
It's also like probably OJ's best part in any of these when he like keeps playing the
I
trumpet.
think so
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but I mean,
And I love.
I don't
want
wanna
when
be
he's
too
like
complimentary towards
when the Chiefs try to get him out of here, and he's like, Frank, we should really think about moving on. And he's like, I was thinking something more up tempo like Guantanamera.
yeah, it was this whole mariachi bit was
OJ's got
longer.
a trumpet solo.
Yeah.
Hey, besame mucho.
Oh, someone
he,
throws.
Like, didn't realize you could.
Oh,
play
here's
trumpet
another
like that.
gag. The old woman throws her room key.
Oh yeah, the hotel.
She
room.
winks. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you're right, Colin. I feel like I wish this movie had like a big ending. You know,
Yeah, I really do think this is the same ballroom from before.
it probably is. They've just redressed.
I mean,
it.
why wouldn't it be?
Oh,
the Chicago Bears show up. Yeah. Beat the shit out of them.
Did they do a joke about like OJ being able to like run through the Chicago Bears or something? Like they should have done that.
Yeah,
he was a
Yeah,
running
I
back,
feel
you know.
like they missed some of that.
Yeah, they didn't really call out that OJ is OJ in any of these movies. He's
They
really-
should have.
He really is Nordberg.
Yeah.
This is also a funny gag that I sort of didn't get when I was younger. Like, I don't know why I didn't get it, but I didn't understand when he's trying to sand the birthmark off the guy's ass.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was like, "Why is this guy screaming so much? He's just rubbing his ass with something like steel wool and a
Which would still make you
and a
scream.
disc sander."
Okay.
Yes, which would absolutely make you scream. But as a kid, I guess I'd never been exposed to like abrasives that much because I was like, "Why is this guy freaking out so much about this?"
Did you guys catch the gag that we just missed where the guy giving the speech, everything he says is like happening. He's like, budget cuts, the president,
Yeah.
budget cuts need to be made, and then he cuts the rope.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
it's gonna hit them hard, and like something falls on his head. It's so good. It's just so subtle. It's like in the background. You have to be listening. I can walk.
Also, I saw in the credits that there was a stunt butt used for the standing off the.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you need a stunt butt? For that?
Maybe to get
Maybe he was
maybe 'cause
shy.
Maybe the man's a professional actor and he doesn't want his fat ass hanging out on camera getting jiggled around by Leslie Nielsen. And he really gets some jiggle going with that thing.
And Leslie Nielsen really gets up in there.
He's got his other hand on it and he's shaking.
Well, I know what Jack Nicholson would do.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want you using a stunt butt for me.
I don't need a stunt butt.
You paid for my butt, you're gonna get my butt.
No butt can cheek it like I can.
You get my butt to the Lakers game on time. I'll be in every damn scene. He does that have that in his contract though, that he gets Lakers game days off.
Yeah.
If he shoots during basketball season at all.
Oh, I guess that is a
too that it's like it's a birthmark in the shape of Whistler's mother, but it's like
really
literally
accurate.
Yeah, it's literally an old lady in a chair and even like the
window.
The painting on the wall.
Or is that what it is? A
I
painting?
think it's a painting on the wall. He does not give up easily. Look at him shake this ass too.
Yeah, he's
like
literally got his
full-on
left hand
mystical.
like on the guy's ass.
That's great.
Look at him go.
this is hilarious.
Oh my god.
I do love that he's still wearing the mariachi costume as well.
But also when he realizes that Jane's been kidnapped, he immediately rips it off and he's got his
Suit on
underneath. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
I think this is the
great
top
gag.
5 thing from this.
That's a
Oh,
great
for
gag.
sure. Where
Implicating that man and like 5 guys.
Yeah, everyone stands up.
They all
Oh,
have guns and take a hostage.
even funnier is when they sit down with their dates and when they put their guns back in their pockets and like the look on everyone's face of like kind of sheepish.
How dare you? Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, this is great when they all slide in front of the elevator.
I love this physical bit of him trying to kick off the mariachi
Right,
pants from
right.
his shoes as he's running without stopping running.
Yeah.
God, Mr. Dursley.
By the way, this would be marked as liberal propaganda
definitely.
and banned.
Fox News would have a whole segment on Naked Gun is going woke.
Yeah. Why do silly movies need to have an environmental message now?
And now these gunmen pop up out of nowhere.
These movies used to be funny, so like that.
Right, exactly.
I love where the camera or the shots cut back and forth, and then they show how far they are from each other. They're like
a
5
couple
feet
feet away.
5 feet away from one another.
Yeah.
I like
And they
Nordberg.
end up-
Nordberg is like slowly building this weapon that's getting bigger and bigger.
And yet somehow when he comes in to save the day at the end, he doesn't have a gun. He just swings on a rope. I guess because the gun was too big to carry.
No, he does.
The gun
It
he
becomes
builds
a tank.
enormous.
No, but when he comes to save the day at the end, though,
Oh.
after, he swings into the room on a rope and hits the wall.
But he blows a hole first.
He does.
It's just not as climactic without the.
Yeah, even though there's a lot going on here.
Oh yeah, there's
no Reggie Jackson though.
Yeah,
it's
really
yeah,
where
it,
this
need-
is really
it
where the
needed a
movie
killer
falls short.
cameo at the end.
I mean, you might say Reggie Jackson's not just a home run, but he's 3 home runs all in one game.
These guys are like completely blown away. Oh, I love that jump.
Oh, that's amazing. The jump down.
Yeah, kind of a reference to the gag in the apartment gag in the first movie where it's the stunt double. So he's
I
disappearing
do
behind
give this
stuff.
movie credit that they didn't repeat the gags. They
Yeah.
didn't do like the same shit.
Right. It's not Airplane 2, which is basically all the same.
Oh, Austin
playing the
Powers
hits.
does that too.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, remember this was funny?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not.
It's amazing how England looks in no way like Southern California.
Who else is almost dead? Me.
The guy raises his hand.
But the guy won't give him the info because he's insulted or something.
Yeah, he's like, come on, you lowlife.
to me, this was really fun. Like, I saw this movie really young, but this was already really funny because in TV and movies, it's always a guy who's almost dead gives you like half the information you need. Like, it's such a cliche.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like too that this movie does a really good job of its original gags. They're not just like making fun of a movie or like like it's all just like clever shit that they came up with that isn't necessarily like spoofing anything, you know?
Yeah, it's all in a lot of it is derived from police movies and thrillers and stuff like that.
Totally.
But then it's also just random shit that they come up with. For like just set it at a baseball game because we got a lot of ammunition for baseball shit. You know, the mariachi thing. Where does that come from? That's not from anything. That's just some idea that they came up with.
This bomb looks a lot like the bomb, well, with more bells and whistles, but a lot like the bomb from Goldfinger.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah, it's got like more lights on it, but
Colin and I know, but you guys don't know this, that when I just arrived here, I noticed someone had a TV on in the building next door, and I looked to see what it was, and it was Goldfinger. And
he didn't leave until they started screaming because Matt had his face pressed up against it.
He would have had to like scale the building.
I called Colin out when he opened the door. I was like, check out what this guy's watching.
It's like, hey, look at this window I've been peeping through. Come here.
You know how I knew it was Goldfinger? I saw a guy wearing a blue terry cloth.
Oh my God!
Jumper, romper.
Best look, man.
I know, I love that.
Every time I see that movie,
romper.
I think I've got to find one of those terry cloth rompers.
Oh, they sell them.
That's why I don't know if you noticed when me and Matt walked in the door, I said like, "Excuse me, miss, where's your romper section?"
Do you have any last requests? Can I have the gun?
That's also one of the better jokes in this movie.
Can I have the gun?
I love that Robert Goulet is like the only person in this movie who like thinks Frank Drebin is a total idiot and like calls him out on it. He's like, no, I'm not gonna fucking give you the gun.
And I love the gag at the end when he's holding him out of the window and he's about to give him the information. And the chief comes over. I'll help you, Frank.
No,
dumps him out of the window.
Wait, are they in Times Square now?
Yeah.
Like, why are they not in Washington D.C. anymore?
It's hard to say. This is also amazing. I like one of my favorite things in the last movie is the guy getting mauled by the tiger. One of my favorite things in this movie is that Robert Goulet survives this fall and then gets killed by a man-eating lion that escaped from the zoo. Callback.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah, I forgot that was an escape from the zoo.
That's one of the scenes I laughed out loud because I didn't remember it and I didn't see it coming.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, so where is this going next? Now it's gonna be a foot run, you know?
Right, yeah. Nope.
If they didn't set up the zoo stuff earlier, it would still be funny and like nonsensical.
Random.
Yeah. But it adds an extra layer that they set it up so far off. Like it wasn't just like the immediate
Right. It was like
scene,
30,
you know?
40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But we've seen animals popping up throughout this, and every time it's like, oh yeah, we're getting the reminders.
So the giraffe walks in front of the entrance to the
That's it.
ball.
That was the last thing we saw, I think. Right?
And then the woman refers to the baboons.
Yeah.
And then you got the lion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
is
they
there-
got a lot out of that.
Is there one more at the end, or that's it?
I don't know. I mean,
There might
rule
be.
of threes.
Yeah, rule of threes, exactly. This is great. I couldn't remember how he defused the bomb here.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
I did remember, and then I was like, wait, is that it? And yeah,
the best.
It's great.
When I saw this, I thought to myself, oh, they should cut to the audience like all sleeping. I totally forgot this gag, and then the camera backs up, and that's like exactly what it is. I was like, yes.
The best part is they're using cartoon stereotypes. The guy who's sleeping with his feet up,
in the
that's
air,
from
yeah.
cartoons.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the woman who's blowing a feather out of
Yeah,
her mouth.
yeah.
The feather's like
The feather keeps going up and down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is great.
And then they get him to read the erotic novel to wake
Read
them
this,
up.
it's an emergency.
He thrust his throbbing member.
A purple-headed warrior into a quivering mound of love
If
pudding.
you notice, as the crowd gets up to walk calmly before OJ says it's what kind of emergency, the guy keeps reading the next page.
And
He's like,
he's like-
"Ooh, I'm interested in this book."
I read that if you freeze frame this on the book when he opens it, it's the paragraph he's reading is like glued into one side of the book, but the other side of the book is chapter 8 of the A-Team TV show novelization.
Really? Oh, that's so funny.
That's really good.
Yeah. We're winding down here. Should we start our?
Is it that time already?
I guess
It's a short movie.
I know it is a short movie. Yep. I just don't think there's too much more that happens in this.
There's not much.
Yeah, there's kind of one. I
The
forget what
blocking in this scene, everyone everyone leaving calmly, they all go like right or left, and then when they're not calm, they all go the opposite. Like
we got a Twilight Zone reference.
Yeah,
right there.
and that's apparently the actor from that episode.
Really?
as well.
Oh
So,
my
yeah,
God, that's incredible.
He's running around with a book that says "To Serve Man," and he's yelling, "It's a cookbook! It's a cookbook!" Panic everywhere.
That's another gag. I don't know if people would get like today. Colleen's cousin stayed with us for a couple weeks ago, and she's 19 years old, and it's like amazing. We're watching stuff, and like she does. I mean, granted, like she's not a person who's really into movies or TV, but like she doesn't know who a lot of people are. Like we're watching movies, and like it's amazing.
Does she listen to the podcast? Is she gonna feel bad that you're like, yeah, she's really not that smart?
No.
She doesn't know anything.
It's not that she's not smart. It's just I'm saying that the younger generations, like
They don't look it up.
they don't look it up.
Like when I was 17, the AFI 100 list came out.
yeah.
And I was obsessed with getting to as many movies as I could. So, like, I watched Taxi Driver in 1999.
I was the same way. It's like going to
And
the
it
video
blew
store
my
every
mind.
week.
Yeah.
Going to the video store, finding the rows of the video store that are like not the new releases.
Right.
The old stuff, and picking out something that I read about.
I feel like all the
Absolutely.
blockers put the AFI list.
Yes,
like,
they did.
up
They
on the
gave
wall
free
or whatever.
posters
Yeah.
because it generated rentals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now it's like
Every movie I'd
you're
watch with my
streaming
dad
the
as a
latest
kid.
Netflix show, and that's it.
Well,
You're
here's the
not
thing,
going back.
though. I didn't have access to nonstop
Yeah.
content that was like new, and between TikTok and streamers and all this shit on your phone. I mean, most of these people young people today don't even watch shit on a TV.
They don't watch movies.
They're watching it on phones.
They just watch YouTube.
Yeah, and
or
they're
TikTok.
watching it on phones, and they're watching whatever streaming conveniently, which I can't blame them. I get it. I think if I had that shit, I might not have been.
Stop
as
saying
interested
you
either.
get it about young people.
You don't get it.
No, I'm hip. I'm with it.
But
Hip.
there's-
Colin, what are you saying?
I think we all have some
young
kind of
44.
influence. Like when my dad took me to a Paul Newman movie, and Paul Newman was old in that movie, and he played like a peripheral character. He told me this guy was the man. You know, you got to see Sundance and this and that, and I wanted to. I had that interest, but at the same time, I don't think this is a problem of movie buffs. This is just a general problem. They're not interested in the past stuff.
I was watching Jeopardy the other day, and right now Jeopardy is doing a thing where it's like high school reunion, and what that means is you know how they have the high school tournament every now and then?
Yes.
They take 3 contestants from the high school tournament who are now older, and they bring them back on the show, so it's like a reunion. And so they're still pretty young, but one of the questions they asked was like, I forget the exact wording, but it was basically like things that all the answers rhymed with Molly, right? And so the question was, this is a camera movement where like you can either move forward or back or whatever. And all 3 of them, no guess.
idea.
No guess. Like they were just dead silent after they just ran the category and got all the other Ollie words. And then what's her name is the host, Mayim Bialik, and she's like, that's called a dolly shot.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say that that's like, oh yeah, we're in the industry, so of course we know that. But honestly, I knew that long before. Like, you know, that's like
It was
common
shocking
knowledge if
to
you
me
sort of.
because like it's a reminder that there are people who like have they don't work in the industry, but they also have no interest in it. You know, like they don't care how movies are made.
Well, and another thing that we're not talking about is we're not talking about how sometimes when you're talking to a younger person, or when we were young and we would talk to an older person, there's certain generational shit that comes up. Like, you know, like we remember like music that came out when we were in high school or whatever better than somebody who, you know, some of that music's gone. Some of that music didn't resonate enough with the culture that it didn't last, or some of it was just of its time.
Right.
And that's different. But you're talking about like general film knowledge from before our time, even that we have that the younger generation doesn't seem as interested in.
Right.
Which is very strange.
One of my favorite movies is City Lights, Charlie Chaplin's silent era. I mean, that says it all. I mean, go ahead.
I do think there's like this thing with particularly people our age. We were born into a world without the internet, and then we did start using it. And like most people younger than us were born into a world that had the internet. If they are interested in the past, they aren't as interested in the past before that as we are.
Yeah.
But the technology enables them to look up the past easier than we had.
But like it's
Right, we had to
so
work for that shit.
it's so much more foreign to them. The idea that they can't do that.
It is
Right.
true
You know what
in
I
the
mean?
sense that, like, okay, when we watched The Simpsons as kids,
Right.
like, if there was a joke I didn't understand
Right.
or a reference, I would ask my parents, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me because the time that show came out or what they're referencing was, like, not that long ago. It's in my history.
Did you guys have an encyclopedia in your house when you were little?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
like
Speaking of the dolly question before, there was just in the credits, it was key grip, poly grip, and then what the hell is a grip? And then after what the hell is a grip, instead of having a person credited, it was just an explanation of what a grip is.
They just had George Foreman.
Yeah, they
and
had,
then
they had like the different foremen, and then it was George Foreman, and they gave his stats.
they have some
the
wacky
George Foreman
credits.
stats. Yeah.
But there is something to be said about, like, you know, like, there are some things, like, what's like distant history for us, like the 60s or the 50s. Like,
Yeah.
we get some of those references, but some of them you just, in your head, you're like, I don't need to know that. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's so far gone that's, like, it's not relevant to anything in my life. Whereas, like, stuff from the 70s and 80s, like, you wanted to, like, pick up that knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost the same thing. Like, kids of today don't care so much about the 70s and 80s. They care more about maybe, like, the 90s and the 2000s, you know? Like, that's
they?
their...
But I would say
Well, the
even-
90s are kind of making a comeback, so maybe that is like the difference. Maybe that is the thing.
But I would say with, like, the thing I'm talking about, where they sort of, like, after having this access to all this information in this certain way, all this media, there is, like, the idea that, like, that wasn't a thing. Like, I think that it's hard for them to care about it.
It's almost like,
It's too-
us trying to care about, like, the 1800s or something. It's, like, so
Yeah.
far removed.
Well, like,
that we're like,
none of us is gonna ride a horse, but, like,
yeah.
or I mean, I could because I'm from Texas, but
It's just in my blood.
but, like, it's like the idea of riding a horse. Like, we don't, like, our generation, like, think about, like, you know, baby boomers watched so many Westerns. And, like, we like Westerns because we like movies, but, like, a lot of people even our age who are even into films are like, I'm not gonna watch a fucking Western. Like,
That's the
it's like people
problem.
riding horses and shooting.
This is
guns.
all
You know
inside
what I mean?
baseball. Like, I can't detach myself. Like, I chose to watch The Searchers because I kept hearing about it. Not necessarily because I like Westerns. In fact,
in
I
our
think
film world.
But you
like,
have to.
it's
But you
renowned.
knew that to get a comprehensive knowledge, you had an interest in it. But you know, there's also this thing where I don't know, and maybe we're ascribing things to generations that are just sort of just people. Because I know, like, my brother Johnny just didn't like black and white movies. Anytime I would recommend a movie or say I liked a movie that was in black and white, he would just be like, why would you? It wasn't old movies. It was just the ones that didn't have color, because he was like, why would you watch a movie in black and white when you could watch a perfectly good movie in color? You know, it didn't make any sense to him. And I don't know if he probably has gotten over that. But I mean, I can sort of understand the idea of somebody being like, why would I watch this stuff that's seems of shittier quality, and they didn't, it's kind of, I don't know.
I think that's a natural thing. I remember
Yeah.
being like that as a kid. Like, if you
I say
saw a black and
subtitles
white
is even
movie.
more so
Yeah.
with a lot of people.
I find it easier now, now that I'm old and will fall asleep during movies. I find it easier somehow to stay awake during ones with subtitles, because I'm like actually have to be a little more attentive and engaged. in
Yeah.
it.
My daughter said something. I forget exactly how she worded it. I was like flipping through channels and I found something, and it was black and white. And she said something along the lines of, like, is this what the world used to look like? Or like, like she
Yeah,
thinks
yeah.
like the world was black and white.
I feel like we did that when we were young.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like that's a common thing now.
Like, you get afraid. Like, wait a minute. Like, was color TV invented or color invented? Like, tell me the truth.
But that's so here's a weird thing that I don't know enough about to speak authoritatively on it. But there was a phenomena that occurred in the 30s and 40s and 50s where large quantities of people were having their dreams in black and white, and they didn't have color in their dreams anymore.
Yeah.
And, I don't think I don't know how much exploration they did into it, but obviously one of the reasons it might have been is because the way they were processing, like, dreamlike information was film
Yeah.
and television, which was in black and white, so it sort of bled into their...
Seeing that media stimulated the
Right.
same part of their brain that they later used to dream.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, which is kind of really fascinating.
I don't know if I dream in color.
Yeah, I don't
Because my dreams are thoughts. They're not. They're visual when I wake up, but they're just thoughts when I'm dreaming.
It's like
it's
a
hard to
surreal
explain.
thing that you can't explain exactly. Like I remember dreams sometimes, but when I wake up, I couldn't tell you if they were.
I couldn't
in
tell
black
you
and
what
white
color
or
the
color.
guy was
Yeah.
wearing, but I could tell you he was there, and this is what he was telling me.
You can
Right.
coach yourself into it. If you keep a dream journal, you can get a better job of.
But there's one thing I want to.
I only dream in fear.
Say. So one of the reasons I think that I kept going back and watching these is because I didn't want to fall behind on knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm in a group and they drop that knowledge, I didn't want to be left out. Same with The Simpsons, right? You want to be in the joke. And
Yeah.
the only way to be in the joke is to know the source material.
I think too, because like The Simpsons was funny to us as kids, but it was funny to adults, and it's like that kind of like there was like a, you know, that felt like an intellectual recognition of like, oh, like
You're in the club.
yeah, of being like more mature, you know, like or a higher intellectual understanding that you would think an adult would have or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean, yeah.
But
Right.
I bet you anything if we looked at like people at USC in the film program right now.
In what kind of way? Like just go to campus and
just stare at
like
them.
stare at them.
Yeah, just like really quietly from behind a bush or something. No, I'm just saying like if you took like people in the undergrad film program who want to be filmmakers who are interested in this, who have enthusiasm for it, I think you'd find a large number of them that are doing that work to
I think
educate
so,
themselves
too.
and
I
stuff
think
like
so,
that.
too.
I think it is something that you have to be pursuing a creative field to like, you know, like I don't think you'll find a lot of people who want to be novelists who don't read novels, you know.
Right.
Like, I feel like there's just a now when I went to USC to grad school, I was stunned when they sat us in the room and they would say like, you know, we've all seen The Godfather, right? Everyone's saying, you know, and only like half the hands would go up. I'd be like, that's insane, you know, like
Yeah.
you know, Citizen Kane is like, you know, a third of the hands would go up, and I'd be like, you are in a really good film school and you haven't watched these like, you know, like these are the first movies you should have seen when you decided you were interested in this. So it's not everybody, but I do think there is a certain amount of
I agree.
the more enthusiasm you have for it, the more you're going to sort
Well,
of train yourself.
I
It's
agree.
like being out here amongst movie people, if you will. You forget that the rest of the country or the rest of the world isn't into it as much as we are. Like, have you guys did you ever have the phenomenon when you moved out here? Like, I remember having conversations with people back east and like talking about movies or whatever. And then I realized at a certain point, like I'm talking beyond their knowledge, you know, like they don't know what I'm talking about. And then when I moved out here and you start to talk to people, granted, we went to film school. Of course, we're going to meet people like that. But like all of a sudden I have that feeling of like, I'm with my people.
Right.
You know, like
Absolutely.
these people get me.
You know,
But
I do
not
think-
everybody in LA is of those people. But when you find them, you know it immediately.
You know, I think I actually lucked out in that, like, my friends from high school weren't as into movies as I was, but they were really into movies, and we liked to talk and argue about them. And then my friends post-high school, in college, and after when I was just around, like, all of my friends were pretty culturally literate and also way into movies, and they enjoyed having these, like, we'd all go out to see a movie together and then argue about it at the bar afterwards, and that was kind of, so it really wasn't that much of a transition. And I think it's funny when I talk to people in LA especially, but even outside of LA, and they're not that into movies, I'm like, I thought everyone was. I thought everyone. liked
What's
this
also
stuff.
really weird too is like, sorry, you can go right after me. The thing back in the day was like there wasn't as much content, so there were like the key movies that people
We
had
all
to
watched
see.
everything,
like
yeah.
The Matrix. Everyone saw that. Boondock Saints when that came out was like if you were in college, like everyone saw that.
What a masterpiece.
Now you want to talk about like the hottest TV show? Well, we probably are all watching different hottest TV show right now.
Right
you know?
now, when I go back east and I'm like, "Oh, are you guys watching whatever?" They're like, "No, we're watching this," and it's some show like I've never heard of, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" Like some like,
I'm sure it's great though. I've heard good things.
yeah.
I do really like, you know, because I feel like I do have friends that are not in the like movie people, you know, vein, but I still can like make a connection and stuff. But I love getting the opportunity to like have like a really real conversation with someone, and then I get to reference a movie that I know and they don't, and that allows me to tell them like the story of like whatever movie it is in my own words and like why I think it's important and like what I think the message is. Because I really like to like just run with that.
and because you don't feel heard enough on this podcast.
Yeah. But Arbi, what were you gonna say before?
I have a cousin who knows like I'm the movie guy in the family. And it's the same thing as Colin just described. I get texts, have you seen ... And, 8 out of 10 times I have. And that excites him because we're making a connection. And he can't make that connection with most people because they wouldn't have found that movie and dug it out.
Yeah, I get that text or call of somebody who just watched an older movie.
Right.
Who's like, hey, have you ever heard of this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. And then we can have a conversation.
Exactly.
Because they want to have that experience of talking about a movie with somebody who knows about it, but they've got this weird movie that,
Also,
after they talk to their spouse or whoever they saw it with, that's it. That's the end of the road.
Also, when you're getting to know someone like new or whatever, like, actually having a conversation with someone, like, I had this today, like somebody I work with, I haven't worked with them that much, but started talking to them about stuff and they were like, have you seen Dumb and Dumber? And I was like, yeah.
Like that movie is in my blood at this point.
I saw it at the movies.
I am Dumb and Dumber.
I literally was talking about it yesterday. Like we were talking about the
I could do a one-man show and recite that whole
when
movie
he
right
says,
now.
Yeah, when he says, just when I thought you couldn't do anything any stupider, you go and do something like this and completely redeem yourself.
So my uncle showed me Amadeus, and he was like, I saw this 4 times in the theater, right? Wow. And so this is flash
like
forward. I'm
2
watching
days
it
of
on
your life.
VHS, right?
Was it the one with 2 tapes where you had to put a second tape in?
Probably.
I think it's
But now I'm doing that. Someone will be like, have you seen this? I'm like, not only have I seen it, I saw it at the theater first opening weekend, and that feels so good.
I can remember where I sat and what fucking snacks I ate at that movie theater.
Oh my God. This other friend, she asked me like,
Colin, stop trying to like prove that you have friends.
They're all
get it,
made
okay?
Up. They're all made up.
Cutting
Robust
this all
social life.
She's like, have you seen Napoleon Dynamite? And I was like, yeah, I was just thinking about that movie yesterday.
She's like, you were?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what she said. She's like, what?
I've got a theory. My theory is that all these people that Colin's talking to, like they're like they have some side bet going of like, what do you think his favorite movie is? And these are the things they came up with. They were like, oh, it's got to be like Napoleon Dynamite or Dumb and Dumber. So they ask him to gauge his reaction.
No, but that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about right there, right? Like, Napoleon Dynamite was so big when it came out that it became like a cultural icon. And like some of the lines from that movie are like things, and Dumb and Dumber too, are like things
when
that
I went
you
to see it, I
say
remember
in
the
regular
whole day
life.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we say, like, I'm of course struggling to think of lines from Napoleon Dynamite, but Dumb and Dumber.
What are you gonna do today, Napoleon?
Vote
whatever.
for Pedro.
No, he goes.
Tina,
whatever
eat the
I
food."
feel like. God.
Gosh, Tina.
How much you want to bet I can throw a football over them mountains?
And Dumb and Dumber too. It's like, so you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
You had 2 pairs of gloves. Like there's
This whole time.
there's so many things that are like just a part of the zeitgeist.
Swanson.
And then
Almost
someone can actually be shocked. Like to them, they've discovered this movie, Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
They don't even know. They haven't done the homework to know like even what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? Like the older generations don't understand. That'd be like if we watched as kids. You watch like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or like The Exorcist or something. You're like, bro, I discovered this really niche like horror movie that was like old but good. Have you heard of it, The Exorcist? And then your parents would be like, of course we fucking heard of it. It like destroyed the world when it came out. It was like the biggest thing ever, That's really weird.
But
That's
sometimes
we
I
did
would
the homework.
stumble on that movie because of the story first.
Yeah.
Like my cousin said, it came on TV, The Exorcist, and I stayed up and watched it, and I couldn't sleep that night. That's what led me to want to watch it.
Yeah.
So the story would sometimes come first before watching it.
Yeah, like the history of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad saw that movie in Texas. He was like on some kind of a trip, and the movie. Oh, he went to see the Super Bowl. It was in Texas that year, and he went to the movie theater, and he said when he walked in, they were handing out barf bags. Like they would, here you go. Like the usher was like, "Here's your barf bag." Because
That's just standard practice in Texas.
people just barf at movies.
They handed out every doorway to any public place.
Yeah, they load themselves up with like fried steak and ribs. Yeah, Lone Star.
But you guys don't think like Godfather and Chinatown, those movies those have to stay in the realm of watching and discussing, right?
They're easier to watch than ever, but the problem is they're among a vast sea of random new shit. So
and
you
the
still have
pace
to seek them out.
And the pace is different. That's
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the biggest problem. Like patience.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like these movies still need to be showed in the theater, because in the theater you're locked in. You're not going to the bathroom. You're not checking your phone.
It is easier to watch a slow movie. You know, I watched Tar in a theater, and I can almost guarantee you that if I had watched it at home, I would have had to watch it in 2 sittings, because I definitely would have had
I just
a moment
watched
where I was
literally
like,
the first half of Tar.
I'm doing
the
an
other day.
intermission.
Oh, I loved
you know.
it. Did you guys like Tar?
I
I
love
bet
it.
you don't like it.
I like
I
Tar
love
a
it
lot.
so
you love
far.
it? I love it.
The,
Oh,
fu-
you
the
haven't
fucking
finished
scene in
it.
the beginning.
Exactly.
Did you like it?
I liked it.
It was
yeah.
my
Oh, I
it was my
would've thought
favorite
one
movie
of
of
you would
last
hate
year.
it. But like,
Dude, I'm sitting there watching it, and it's like the Juilliard scene in the beginning, and I'm like, halfway through that scene, I'm like, this is a masterpiece. Like,
It's
I don't know,
so good. I love
I don't know
Tar.
what I'm watching, but it's incredible. I don't get the point of this movie yet.
oh yeah, that's
But
yeah.
this
well,
is
that's
That's
so
where
good.
it gets interesting.
It's
Yeah,
so
watch the
good.
second half, because it really they take it. He takes it to some interesting places.
Because
I thought
like
it was great.
honestly, the first scene, I'm like, I don't like this woman, and by the middle, I'm like,
I'm kind of warming up to her.
I'm
I see her
attached to her
points.
somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and then by the end, you're like, wait, was I right about her or wrong? And at what point? And, yeah.
well, like I
No,
know
don't
I don't
kill
want to
it
tell him.
for
I don't want
Matt.
to tell
Yeah,
him how I
don't
felt at
ruin
the
it.
end.
yeah.
I'm
But
like,
you know
I'm
the
like 45
director's
minutes
the
in.
piano player from Eyes Wide Shut, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that
he also
movie,
did In the Bedroom, which is one of my all-time favorite indie films,
And Little Children.
and
And
Little
Little
Children, which
Children.
I think is totally underrated. It's so.
I
much-
just watched that after Tar because I was like, I'm missing
gotta see
one
some.
of
Oh, you had
them.
never seen it?
No, and it was
Oh, what did you
amazing.
think?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
the Jackie or Haley thing. You better not tell on me. Oh my God.
Oh, when he goes on that, like, it's like a otherwise great date. Right?
I love that, like the way they filmed that, where it's like her talking about like, it's just been really hard for me to open up to be, and she has this
And he's
big
just
long
like-
monologue, and then she looks over and he's just furiously masturbating while staring at her. Better not tell on me.
But
You better
she's
not tell.
terrified in
Oh
that
my God,
scene.
it's such a
I have not seen what you're
disturbing
talking
scene.
What? You haven't seen this movie?
No,
It's on HBO
You go home
Max.
and watch Little Children. I'll go home and watch A Few Good Men, and we'll call it even. Okay?
Watch the second half of Tar first.
But but the reason I mentioned Eyes Wide Shut is because Tar has a Kubrickian feel to
Yes,
it.
it
Methodical,
does.
yeah.
He's obviously inspired. I
Right.
would be too. I mean, if you
And
were
the
in a-
way he follows that woman's story is almost the way Kubrick followed Tom Cruise's character in Eyes Wide Shut.
And there's like a weird ambiguity to how you're supposed to be feeling about everything that's going on, like in most Kubrick movies. And it doesn't give you easy answers, which is another thing that people don't really like. But that's the thing. I feel like even my attention span has taken
Yeah,
a hit.
I
and
agree.
like I still will occasionally like watch a Tarkovsky movie, but there is this thing in the back of my head that's like, you might want to check your phone or like,
Yeah, 100%.
do something. Dude, you got to multitask here because it's going to be like 5 minutes of silence where not a lot happens. And I got to remind myself, no, just be present.
Yes,
if you're going to watch a great movie, just carve out the time to be present.
There is something though, like people like us, I think, have a different kind of enjoyment about watching foreign or like old movies. It's almost like you're unlocking an achievement.
Yes.
It's like when I watch it, I'm like, I'm gaining some kind of knowledge from this, and like I can always say now that I've seen this, and I can make reference to it, and like,
And you never know when you're going to find something that's like, oh, well, I've never seen that done that way. Or, there's all these little things that you can pick up on. But we're also watching not just as, absorbers of information or entertainment. We're also watching as sort of pragmatic, explorers of the tools of the trade.
right?
and
How
the,
can I use this, or
Yeah,
like how can this
exactly.
inspire me to like be creative?
you guys are always exploring your tools.
Should we sum up this movie? I think we've turned to
Guys, this is one of the best tangents we've ever
Yeah, I
gone.
know. And literally, this movie ended like a half an hour ago, and we are now turning this into a normal episode length instead of a very
This
short.
is now the
episode
Naked
length.
Gun 33 and a third podcast. All right, let's summarize our thoughts here. Who wants to go first?
I'll be quick. I have a lot of sentimental reasons for enjoying this movie because I think I'm not sure if it was the first Naked Gun I saw, but it definitely, I saw the first two Naked Guns sort of in tandem. I saw them very close together and they're always kind of connected for me. And I feel like I may have even seen the second one more. I feel like there's certain gags, the mustache gag, that's a big mustache, and the sex Frank, not right now, but also the line that I that I just say all the time out of context and it never makes any sense and doesn't get a laugh is the I've been swimming in raw sewage. I love it. And then when he's patting him down, I love it.
I love it.
I love it. It's, I don't know. Listen, it works better than most spoof movies do. If you're comparing it to the first one, yes, not as good. I get it. It's fine. But it works so well, and it doesn't recycle gags, and it comes up with new stuff. Leslie Nielsen's great. The whole cast is great. And for that reason, what did I give the first one? I gave it a 9, right?
You gave the first movie an 8.
Oh, I gave the first movie an 8. Well, I'm not going to give this one an 8 then. I'm going to give this one a 7 because it's slightly worse than the first one, but still very, very good.
So how many Timothy Dolphins?
7 Timothy Dolphins.
Alrighty. Arbi, what'd you think?
I really liked it. I think it's the total running time is amazing. Going back to
The total running time.
Tight 92.
I like how short the movie was.
I think it's the gags are just nonstop, and it's going from one to another. There's the element of nostalgia for me, being a 90s kid, 80s, 90s kid. You know, the only thing I was thinking of, see, this is the problem with today. Like, I feel like, I don't know what you guys feel like, but I feel like I'm being taught what is acceptable and not. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it and I laughed, right? And then I'm like, am I allowed to laugh at this?
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that feeling.
And so, like, I don't want to think about that.
Again, in Tar, that scene in the Juilliard when she's having that conversation with the kid and she's like, obviously, like, social media has taken over your brain or whatever. Like, what does his personal life have any, or who he's married to or how many kids he's got, have anything to do with his music?
Right.
That's such a great conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're fucking right, bitch. You're fucking right. Like,
oh man, there's something happens later that references that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, like, I ended up finding myself enjoying it. I'm like, why am I hurting myself? Like, I'm in my private apartment watching it. I enjoyed it. I laughed out loud, and I think there's a lost trade in what Leslie Nielsen did, and these aren't, like you guys said, these aren't the scary movie spoofs. These are well thought out, well planned, and they land, and it's funny. And if you don't hear one word, you could be out on it. That whole 6'3" mustache thing. Like, you have to actually be paying attention and think about it
and
to get the joke.
Everything they
And
say.
you have to be
like,
watching it too, because if you're checking your phone, you might miss a sight gag that then directly leads
Exactly.
to something else that, you know.
So, not coming from part one, and obviously I've seen part one, I'm not comparing it. I found it entertaining, and I laughed out loud several times.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your score?
7.
7.
Timothy Dalton.
Perfect. Colin, why don't you go?
All right. Well, yeah, I was thinking like I'd give like a 7 or an 8, and now they both gave 7s, and I kind of like want to just do what they did.
Yeah, make it a slot machine.
Yeah.
777.
That's good luck. I'll give it 7 Timothy Dolphins.
I love that Colin like doesn't give an explanation. Yeah, anymore.
That is my explanation. I listened
I
to
want
what
to be like
numbers they
them.
Just gave the explanation. He's copying us.
Look,
I have no original thought. I want to copy them.
they said numbers, and I know that I'm supposed to say a number. So there you go.
He's picking up on social cues. His autism is receding.
Is that the right word for it? Receding? Is that,
yeah. It's
I'm pretty sure that's offensive.
In remission.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure that's offensive.
Yeah,
to somebody.
probably.
All right. Well, I guess that leaves me. I like this movie more sitting here watching it muted, watching it with you guys, like retelling the jokes. Watching it by myself, it's fucking weird to watch a comedy by yourself. You know, it's like it's so much better to watch it with people, even if you can't hear it. Like, I'm sitting here, like, my face hurts from laughing.
I still don't think you should have like a little pocket mirror and stare into it and go ha 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 ha, ha like you do. That's weird.
It's not receding anymore.
This movie is funny, but for me, it is not as funny or as memorable as the first movie. And I think I gave the first movie a 10 because it is a fucking classic. It's like a flawless comedy. This has
It's a high bar to clear. This is why you don't like this movie, is because you're holding it to the standard of what you
and I
consider
like
a
the
perfect
third
film.
movie too. I'm very curious to go back to that and see how I like it now. But I remember really liking the third one. This is the one that was most unfamiliar to me. I do remember seeing it as a kid, but like for some reason kept going back to 1 and 3 and not this one. But it's got some good gags. It's Harris said it that like it doesn't repeat the jokes, the gags from the first movie, which is nice. I think for some reason, like we kind of mentioned it, this one's the most topical. It's like most of the era,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's got the political jokes and stuff, and that makes it lose its like timelessness.
It's aged the worst, not because of offensiveness like most comedies do, but because of
it's
just
planting itself in a time period more so than the others. It's still good though, and you know what? I'm right there with you guys. I'm gonna give this 7 Timothy Dolphins.
Woo, woo.
I love it.
I love it.
love it.
Well, I'm surprised none of us said that in our summary. I love it.
Because we
Kinda all
gave it
did,
7s. We just kind of liked it.
Yeah, that's true. I like it.
It's
Somewhat.
okay.
All right. Well, great show. And Arbi, thanks again.
Thank you.
This is your
Thank you.
third or fourth time?
Third time, I believe. Thank you for having
So
me
you
back.
did Rocky 5. and
I don't
you
remember
did-
the first
Mission
one. It was
Impossible,
yes,
Rogue
it was
Nation.
Rogue Nation. It was COVID.
Zoom.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
and
That's right.
And this one, that's 3, right?
Yep.
Your math skills are improving.
It's good that he can maintain his impressive math skills even when his autism is in remission.
What if I can't count cards anymore?
All right. So, Arbi, I mean, like, I don't know. What do you have anything going on or social media? People can follow you.
No.
Tell us about your life, but don't make it sad.
That's like that's a rabbit hole nobody needs to go into.
Fair enough. Well, watch out for Arbi in the future. He's going to be
On this
watch out.
podcast,
Yeah.
reviewing another movie.
permanently. Yeah.
Watch out for Arbi on the streets. If you see him coming, go the other way.
Watch out for him, literally. Keep looking around and making sure he's not
Do
following
not make
you.
direct I'm sure we'll have you back again.
I would love to come back.
Well, thanks again. And yeah, I guess that's it. So that's the end of the show. And thank you to Chris Morocco for banging out the beat for this series. Thanks again to our guest Arbi for coming out and doing this for a third time. Third time's the charm. Thank you to Leslie Nielsen for making this wonderful movie that we enjoyed, even though he didn't make the movie, but he starred in it. Do we have any other thank yous?
No, I thank no one. In fact, I want to rescind some of the thank yous you already made.
I love it.